Chapter 428. The Savior Kid, what's your name? At this time, the first elder suddenly asked. Yi Xian. Yi Xian replied. Very good. You've done a great service this time. Although you're Elder Wu's drug tester, I can make the decision to let you join my 100 Poison sect and directly become an inner sect disciple. The first elder of the 100 Poison sect said. Hearing this, Yi Xian immediately thanked. Thank you, first elder. Now, he was finally out of danger and would not continue to be caught by others to be drug testers. Then the first elder asked again. Young sect master, what's going on this time? The 100 Poison princess coldly snorted and said. I was originally invited by that Yang Ming to poison a 5th level Imperial Chi Saint beast, but found out it was a trap, so I desperately ran back. Isn't the relationship between the 5 Poison sect and our 100 Poison sect not bad? Why did that Yang Ming want to make a move on you? The first elder asked in astonishment. Humph. At the mention of this Yang Ming, the 100 Poison princess's expression abruptly changed. She coldly snorted and said, A while ago, when my 100 Poison sect and 5 Poison sect's disciples were traveling outside, they discovered an extremely large poisonous grass plantation. Therefore, our 2 sects decided to use the method of disciple battle to determine the ownership of this plantation. Since they found it at the same time, then it's fine to divide it equally. Why? The first elder was very puzzled. My 100 Poison sect thought so, but the size of this plantation exceeded our estimation, and the 5 Poison sect's ambition is very big, wanting to monopolize this land. The 100 Poison princess explained. Then the content of the competition is? The first elder inquired. Poisoning, detoxification, and poison death, 2 out of 3 wins. The 100 Poison princess replied. Poisoning, detoxification, poison death. These 3 terms were very familiar to the first elder, because this was a fair competition within the Ghost Tomb Poison King sect's territory. The poisoning competition was to test the 2 people's poisoning ability, to see who could silently poison the opponent. Simply speaking, this was a life and death battle, to see who killed the opponent first. In the detoxification competition, both sides took out a poison pill for the opponent to consume, and also took out treasures that could be used to create the antidote. Of course, he could use more to confuse the other party, but he could not use more than 5 of them. At the same time, this kind of poison had to keep the opponent alive for 3 minutes. Therefore, both sides had 3 minutes to concoct the antidote. If one of them died from the poison within 3 minutes, the opponent would lose. If both of them could detoxify the poison within 3 minutes, then it would be a draw and a battle of life and death would be used to determine the winner. This battle was extremely difficult. If the other party sent out a low-level suicide squad and the dosage of the poison was wrong, then the suicide squad would die instantly and their side would be judged to have lost. The poison competition was a competition where both sides would take out 5 types of poisonous herbs and use these 10 to concoct a poison. Then they would force the other side to consume the poison and see which side would die first. This competition was also very cruel because they were not allowed to cure the poison. Only when one of them died would they be considered to have won, and then the poison would be cured. 3 matches and at least 3 people had to die. This was the atmosphere of the Ghost Tomb region. They didn't care about human lives. That 5 Poison sect's Yang Ming only has 430 dragons, and his poison skills are inferior to the young heads. He'll definitely let us win the first round, but the second and third rounds will depend on luck. The head elder frowned. On the side, Yi Xian quickly thought it over. The second round of the poison competition was actually the most difficult. If they wanted to win, they would have to ensure that their opponent died within 3 minutes. This would depend on their eyesight and detoxification skills. In the second round of the poison competition, there were often situations where one side won, but one person died. Because the poison was the opponent, it was extremely difficult to find a winner for the second round. As for the third round, it would depend on what kind of poisonous herbs each side brought out. Head elder, I originally thought that my 100 Poison sect only had a 70% chance of winning, but now I'm 100% sure. Princess 100 Poisons declared. Young head, you mean? The head elder was a bit surprised, but he followed Princess 100 Poison's gaze to finally land on Yi Xian. The head elder immediately reacted. Yi Xian had such a unique constitution. He was the Poison sect's nemesis. If Yi Xian participated, he would definitely win the second and third round. Damn, why do I keep getting into trouble? Yi Xian was already drunk. He was beginning to wonder if he was a jinx, bringing trouble wherever he went. "What's your name?" Princess Hundred Poisons asked. "Yi Xian. If you can help me, I'll have my father take you as a disciple." Princess Hundred Poisons continued. The head elder was shocked. Princess Hundred Poisons' father was the head of the Hundred Poisons sect. At the same time, it also showed how big and precious that piece of land was. "Shit, you're trying to tempt me with the offer of a disciple again." That old fogey elder Wu said the same thing, but he immediately let it go like a fart. Yi Xian thought to himself, then said, "Many thanks, young head, but I think it's better to give me some rare treasures." "You don't want to be my father's disciple?" Princess Hundred Poisons was shocked. Her father was a 6th-rank Yunqi expert. But that was fine too. Yi Xian didn't even have 300 dragons. It would be too embarrassing for him to be her junior brother. Princess Hundred Poisons asked, "Speaking of which, do you know how to refine poisons?" "Yes." Yi Xian answered without hesitation. What kind of joke was this? What was the devouring system for? It could refine poisons in an instant as long as it was given raw materials. Princess Hundred Poisons was a little skeptical. The Hundred Poisons sect specialized in poisons. Yi Xian's claim to know how to refine poisons was at most a beginner's level. Thus, she took out 5 types of poisonous plants. "Then use these to refine a poison for me to see." Yi Xian took the plants and pretended to take out a cauldron. He also recognized these poisonous herbs. He quickly searched in his mind to see what kind of poison he could use these poisonous herbs to refine. Now that he had more devouring crystals than he could spend, he had no use for them at the moment, so he made a big trade. Then, he found a suitable poison pill formula. He took a little of each of the 5 plants and put them into the cauldron. Then, he closed the lid and poured his qi into the cauldron to begin refining. In fact, he wasn't refining at all. He was just pretending. He used the angle and the cover of the cauldron to put a poison pill inside. More than 10 seconds later, steam rushed out of the cauldron and the refining was complete. The great elder opened the lid and found that there really was a scarlet pill lying inside. He picked it up and smelled it and said in shock, "This is the blood-devouring pill." Chapter 429. Sect Leader of Hundred Poisons Sect. Not bad. You have reached the level of an inner disciple. However, if you want to win, your ability is still not enough. For the next month, you will learn from me. Hundred Poisons Princess said. Yes. Yi Xian nodded. If the disciples of Hundred Poisons Sect were here, they would definitely be envious. Hundred Poisons Sect had countless poisons, but they could not come into contact with many of them. To be able to be taught by the #1 genius of Hundred Poisons Sect, this was something that could not be bought with money. However, at this moment, Yi Xian suddenly said, "Young sect leader, great elder, actually, I was still hiding something from you. My body is immune to poison, but I am still not immune to some rare poisons. However, as long as I have eaten it before, then the second time I eat it, it will not have any effect. That is why I need a large amount of poisonous plants." Hundred Poisons Princess and Great Elder looked at each other. This body was actually so mysterious. If that is the case, then we will give up on the detoxification competition. I will use the poison, and you will use the poison to kill. 2 out of 3 wins. Then our Hundred Poisons Sect will win. Great Elder, immediately prepare a portion of all the poisonous plants and flowers. Hundred Poisons Princess ordered. Although this was only a branch of Hundred Poisons Sect, there were still many poisonous plants and flowers. Adding the ones on Hundred Poisons Princess, it was more or less enough. After all, during the poison competition, the Hundred Poisons Sect and the 5 Poisons Sect each took out 5 types of poison grass. If Yi Xian had eaten all 5 types of poison grass from the 5 Poisons Sect, then they would have won by half. The other half was to let Yi Xian learn how to refine poisons and kill his opponent in 3 minutes. Immediately after, Hundred Poisons Princess led Yi Xian and Great Elder out of the pavilion. The elders and disciples waiting outside the pavilion felt as if their hearts were being stabbed by knives. After seeing Hundred Poisons Princess, they immediately cried out in alarm. "He is out! He is out! The young sect leader is actually fine. Heavens, that brat's blood can actually detoxify poisons. This is our Hundred Poisons Sect's nemesis." So what if he is our nemesis? He only has 250 dragon power. I can crush him with one hand. Shoo! That brat is the savior of the Hundred Poison Princess. Do you want to die? The disciples were all dumbstruck. The poison that even the 100 Poison Princess was helpless against was actually neutralized by a layman with 250 dragon power. This was truly a miracle. Not only that, but the elders as well. That kid actually did it? Both Elder Wu and young Master Shi had the same thought. They were very conflicted. Firstly, they didn't want Princess Baidu to die. Secondly, they wanted to see Yi Xian die. At this time, the 100 Poisons Princess suddenly shouted, "From today onwards, Yi Xian will be an inner disciple of our 100 Poisons main sect, and his status will be the same as the branch sect's direct disciples. Furthermore, I hope that all of you will keep your mouths shut about what happened today. If anyone is discovered to be talking about it or spreading the news, they will all be deemed as traitors to the 100 Poisons sect." Gulp. When these words fell into everyone's ears, their bodies trembled. An inner disciple of the sect? Betray the 100 Poisons sect? It seemed that Yi Xian really did save the 100 Poisons Princess. You all heard the young master's words. All of you shut your mouths and don't go out during this time. Especially about Yi Xian. If anyone dares to talk about it again, kill without mercy. First Elder added. Although this was making a mountain out of a molehill, this matter was of great importance. If the 5 Poison sect found out, then it would be troublesome. Although the 100 Poisons Princess didn't say it, he could hear that this competition was very important. That piece of land was extraordinarily precious to them. Next, the 100 Poisons Princess also left with Yi Xian and the Black Scorpion King, and went to a hidden place in the 100 Poisons Valley for special training. First Elder also brought a large amount of poisonous grass, including the newly planted ones. Yi Xian began to test one by one to increase his poison resistance. At the same time, he used the excuse of his physique to consume the interspatial ring and the other poisonous grass. 300 dragon power. That interspatial ring and the poisonous grass that First Elder and the 100 Poisons Princess took out allowed him to reach 300 dragon power, reaching the 3rd level of the Qi controlling realm. The 100 Poisons Princess was also very surprised. She thought that if nurtured well, Yi Xian might be able to become one of the 100 Poisons sect's secret weapons. In this month, she imparted a lot of knowledge to Yi Xian, and also gave Yi Xian quite a few poison pill recipes. At the same time, Yi Xian also learned of her name, Feng Yaqing. Yi Xian couldn't understand. Such a nice name, such a beautiful girl, but she emitted a dangerous aura from head to toe. Her hair, shoulders, and even her lips were poisonous. If one accidentally touched it, they wouldn't even know how they died. This made Yi Xian very surprised. He guessed that Feng Yaqing definitely had a lot of poison on her. Maybe even there. He was very suspicious. Was Feng Yaqing really an 18-year-old girl? Could it be that she wasn't a 100-year-old poison witch? Feng Yaqing's poison had already become a habit. If she were to marry in the future, would she accidentally poison her husband to death? After a month of special training, Yi Xian's poison resistance was much higher, and he was completely immune to the 100 Poison sect's poison pills. In 3 days, it would be the competition between the 100 Poison sect and the 5 Poison sect. Therefore, Feng Yaqing directly brought Yi Xian and some of the 100 Poison sect's branch elders to meet up with the main sect. 3 days later, the branch and main sect's teams finally met up. Father! After seeing the main sect's team, Feng Yaqing also directly went up to them. The 100 Poison sect leader, Feng Shan, was a seemingly easygoing middle-aged man. After seeing Feng Yaqing, he also smiled and said, "How was it? Did you get anything this time?" "Father, that Yang Ming and the 5 Poison sect are not good people. They invited me to poison a 5th-level Qi-controlling realm sacred beast, but secretly set up an ambush. I almost died in that Yang Ming's hands," Feng Yaqing hurriedly said. When the 100 Poison sect leader heard this, his expression suddenly changed. "What is going on? Yang Ming is your fiancé. Why would he want to kill you?" "Maybe it's because of this plantation. That day, I killed a bloody path to return to the branch. Even I couldn't do anything about that Yang Ming's poison. Fortunately, he saved me." After Feng Yaqing finished speaking, she turned her head to look at Yi Xian, who was beside the Black Scorpion King. Feng Shan turned his head to look at Yi Xian and said in a low voice, "Tell me the whole story." This matter was of great importance. The 100 Poison sect and the 5 Poison sect had a good relationship. The 100 Poison sect's young sect leader, Feng Yaqing, and the 5 Poison sect's young sect leader, Yang Ming, were engaged. It was also because of this that Feng Yaqing went to attend the meeting alone. But who would have thought that Yang Ming actually secretly set up an ambush to kill Feng Yaqing? Perhaps only the Five Poisons sect knew the reason behind this. Chapter 430. Forfeit? Could it be that the plantation has a secret we don't know? This was the guess of the 100 Poisons sect's upper echelon. The 100 Poisons sect had a good relationship with the 5 Poisons sect. Even if the plantation was precious, the 5 Poisons sect would not fall out with the 100 Poisons sect over it. Therefore, the plantation must have other secrets. No matter what, since the 5 Poisons sect wants to kill Yaqing, then they have broken off relations with the 100 Poisons sect. Everyone be careful. There may be a hard battle later. Feng Shan reminded them, then turned to look at Yi Xian and asked, Yaqing, you said just now that you want him to participate in the poison competition? Yes, he is already immune to a large amount of poison. Father, if you give him some rare ones, we should be able to win this round. Feng Yaqing nodded. I originally wanted to let your second senior brother go, but if he is really as magical as you say, then let him go. I still have some poisonous grass that the main sect has just cultivated. Go give it to him. Feng Shan said. Okay. Feng Yaqing nodded, then took the things and walked towards Yi Xian. Feng Shan and the other upper echelon of the 100 Poison sect also followed. Then, Yi Xian swallowed the poisonous grass in front of them, increasing his poison resistance again. It is indeed magical. These poisonous grass are enough to kill a level 5 Imperial Qi expert. Feng Shan was very surprised. I also passed him some of the poison pill formulas you passed to me. Father, try to use these poisonous grass in the poison competition later. Feng Yaqing reminded. Yes, I know. Feng Shan nodded. Then he led the others to the side for a meeting, obviously suspicious of the 5 Poison sect's actions. But Feng Yaqing was Feng Shan's daughter. She could not be lying. Therefore, there must be something wrong with the 5 Poison sect. This time, the 100 Poison sect did not bring many people. Other than Feng Shan, who was level 6 Imperial Qi expert, there were only 4 level 5 Imperial Qi experts. A level 5 Imperial Qi expert came from the sect, so there were 5 of them. Next, there were more than 10 level 4 Imperial Qi experts and dozens of direct disciples who came to see the world. When it was about time, they would organize their teams and head to the agreed location. This time, they were actually barging into a tiger's den because this could be another ambush. However, it was impossible for them not to go, so the members of the 100 Poison sect were prepared to give it their all. A day later, the 100 Poison sect group finally arrived at the agreed location, a place called the Dark Swamp. The people from the 5 Poison sect had already arrived a step earlier. Their people were about the same as the 100 Poison sect, roughly 50. Haha, Brother Feng, long time no see. After seeing the people from the 100 Poison sect, the sect leader of the 5 Poison sect, Tang Huaiji, also smiled and cupped his fists. Long time no see, Brother Tang. Feng Shan squeezed out a smile and pretended that nothing had happened. Tang Huaiji and the others were stunned. At the same time, they cast a glance at Feng Yaqing, who was in the group from 100 Poisons, and noticed that she was glaring at them as if she wanted to eat them alive. What's going on? This girl isn't poisoned to death? Tang Huaiji was very surprised, and so was Yang Ming from the 5 Poisons sect. Although Feng Yaqing broke through the encirclement and escaped the pursuit, she was poisoned and didn't have long to live. But who knew that Feng Yaqing was actually still alive? Since Feng Yaqing was still alive, then what was going on with Feng Shan? Why would he greet them? Brother Feng, since you're here, then let's start right away? Tang Huaiji said with a smile. Okay. Feng Shan didn't waste time. The two of them began to draw lots. There were 3 rounds in the competition, but it didn't mean that they would follow the order of poisoning, detoxification, and poisoning. Soon, the order of the 3 rounds was decided. The first round, detoxification. The second round, poisoning. The third round, poisoning. In the detoxification competition, each side would take out a poison and give it to the other side. At the same time, they would take out the heaven and earth treasure to make the antidote. The poison had to keep the opponent alive for 3 minutes. If the opponent died within 3 minutes, then the side would lose. If both sides were detoxified within 3 minutes, then it would be a draw, and the winner would be decided in a life-and-death battle. In this round, luck played a huge role, and no one had the confidence to win. Brother Feng, my 5 Poison sect will send him out, Tang Huaiji said, looking at one person in the team. But this disciple hadn't walked out yet when Feng Shan interrupted. No need, my 100 Poisons sect forfeits the detoxification competition. Once the 3 matches began, one of them had to die. However, before the competition started, one could still forfeit. Forfeit. When the people from the 5 Poisons sect heard this, their eyes instantly lit up. They didn't expect to win 1 round at the beginning. Next, as long as they won 1 more round, they would win. That disciple from the 5 Poisons sect also let out a sigh of relief. It seemed that he didn't have to die. The second round was poisoning. In the poisoning competition, each side would send out 1 person, and at the same time, each side would take out 5 types of poisonous grass. Then the 2 people would use these 10 types of poisonous grass to make poison on the spot, and let the opponent consume it to see which side's participant would die first. Yuchi Su, you're up, Tang Huaiji said. Yuchi Su was a direct disciple of the 5 Poisons sect. His strength had just reached the 4th level of the Imperial Qi realm, and his knowledge of poisonous grass was extremely wide. He was also very skilled in refining poisons, and was second only to Yang Ming in the 5 Poisons sect. After seeing him, the faces of the people from the 100 Poisons sect all sank, and then, all of them gathered on a young man. Yi Xian was locked on by dozens of gazes, and knew that it was time for him to go out. After taking a deep breath, he walked out. Who is this? Seeing that Yi Xian was a little unfamiliar, the people from the 5 Poisons sect all looked at each other, but Yi Xian didn't reveal his strength, so they didn't know that Yi Xian was just a trash who had just entered the 3rd level of the Imperial Qi realm. Both of you, take off your interspatial rings. Feng Shan shouted. Yi Xian and Yuchi Su both took off their interspatial rings and put them away. This round was to refine poisons on the spot, so they weren't allowed to wear interspatial rings. Then, Feng Shan and Tang Huaiji each took out 5 types of poisonous grass, 2 of each type. They divided the 10 types of poisonous grass into 2 batches, and gave them to Yi Xian and Yuchi Su. There are 2 types of poisonous grass that are unknown, Feng Shan said in his heart, thinking that these must be newly cultivated poisonous grass by the 5 Poisons sect. Tang Huaiji also thought so, because of the 5 types of poisonous grass that Feng Shan took out. There were 2 that he hadn't seen before. However, the 5 types of poisonous grass that Feng Shan took out were all specified by Yi Xian. He could use these 5 types of poisonous grass to refine a super poison to send his opponent to the next world. At this time, Yi Xian and Yuchi Su both took out a cauldron. Brat, the poison that I, Yuchi Su, refine can poison you to death in less than 10 seconds. Yuchi Su couldn't help but mock. Before the start, he wanted to pressure Yi Xian mentally. Chapter 431. Not competing anymore? Are you done with your last words? Yi Xian said without raising his head. What a sharp-tongued brat. Yuchi Su snorted. Tang Huaiji glanced at the 2 of them and shouted, You have half a minute to refine. If you don't succeed in half a minute, the time starts now. When the voice sounded out, Yi Xian and Yuchi Su attacked at the same time. Yuchi Su chose 5 poisonous herbs, which were the ones Tang Huaiji took out. As for the ones Feng Shan took out, he didn't touch them. However, Yi Xian was different. Not only did he use Feng Shan's 5 poisonous herbs, but he also used 2 of Tang Huaiji's. A total of 7. What is this brat doing? Didn't he say he was going to refine the heart-devouring pill? Why did he add yin yang lotus and black water root? Feng Shan and the others behind Yi Xian were shocked. The 5 types of poisonous herbs that Feng Shan had just taken out were just enough to refine a heart-devouring pill. But now, Yi Xian had added 2 more. What was he trying to do? 7 types of poison wasn't something that an ordinary person could successfully refine. Yi Xian was only a layman who'd learned it for a month. How could he possibly succeed? Time passed bit by bit. 10 seconds. 20 seconds. In 25 seconds, Yuchi Su had succeeded in refining it. He immediately looked towards Yi Xian with a gloating expression. In another 5 seconds, if Yi Xian didn't succeed in refining it, then the 100 Poisons sect would lose. 26 seconds. 27 seconds. 28 seconds. Finally, at the 29th second, Yi Xian's cauldron let out a roar of steam. Success! Phew! The people from 100 Poisons sect heaved a sigh of relief. Although it was a success, they still had to see whether it was successful or not. Then, they would compete to see whose poison was stronger. Yi Xian had only completed the first step. Open the cauldron. Tang Huaizhi shouted with a strange look on his face. Yi Xian and Yuqi Su opened the lid of the cauldron at the same time and each took out a poison pill. Yuqi Su's poison was black in color. It was very common. There were no patterns and no fragrance. It looked very powerful. As for Yi Xian's black pill, it emitted a strange fragrance that smelled pretty good. Humph! You can't even cover your scent. You're dead meat. Yuqi Su was full of disdain. Exchange pills. As Tang Huaizhi's voice rang out, the two of them threw the poison pills in their hands at each other. The atmosphere between the two sides was also very tense. There was not the slightest bit of unnecessary noise. At this time, Yi Xian suddenly revealed a confident smile to Feng Shan and the others behind him. This was a reminder, because after this battle, the 5 poison sect would very likely act. All right, swallow the pill. Tang Huaizhi said impatiently. Yi Xian and Yuqi Su simultaneously sent each other's pills into the end before swallowing them. Yi Xian's current poison resistance was unusually strong. He was immune to the 5 types of poison grass that Feng Shan took out. Even the 3 types of poison grass that Tang Huaizhi took out had no effect on him. Therefore, what Yi Xian swallowed was actually a mixture of 2 types of poison grass. And what Yuqi Su swallowed was 7 types. Humph, it can't even cover its fragrance. This pill must be a waste pill. It doesn't have much poison. Yuqi Su thought in his heart. A waste pill was a failed refinement pill. He thought that Yi Xian's mixing of 7 types of poison grass was a failed refinement. Fighting poison with poison. When 7 types of poison grass were mixed together, if the dosage and refinement method were not right, many times it would become ineffective and not have much poison. However, Yuqi Su was wrong. Just as he swallowed the pill refined by Yi Xian, his expression changed. He felt the qi and blood in his entire body churn. Then, he lost all feeling in his hands, followed by his legs, shoulders, stomach, and even his face. In everyone's eyes, Yuqi Su's face turned red, and his entire body seemed to be frozen in place. At this time, a cold wind blew, and Yuqi Su's body fell head first into the mud, lifeless. Everyone was shocked. How many F*King seconds had it been? Immediately, a person from the 100 Poisons sect rushed over and checked Yuqi Su's pulse. No pulse, all the qi and blood in his body have been frozen. He's dead. The 100 Poisons sect elder reported. Tang Huaizhi's eyes widened as he moved closer. Just as the elder said, Yuqi Su was already dead. Heavens! Yuqi Su was a genius of the 4th level Imperial Qi realm. He actually died after taking this pill in less than 2 seconds? Wasn't this poison a bit too strong? Suddenly Yi Xian, who was not far away, snorted coldly, proving that he was still alive. The outcome of this battle was very clear. The 100 Poisons sect won. What kind of mixed poison is that? Why haven't I seen it before? Feng Shan stared with wide eyes. At this time, Yi Xian also detoxified the other 2 poisons and retreated to the 100 Poisons sect camp. What kind of pill is that? Feng Yaqing asked curiously. The surrounding 100 Poisons sect elders all pricked up their ears. It was obvious that they were very interested. Blood coagulation pill. If a 4th level Imperial Qi realm martial artist takes it, all the blood in his body will instantly freeze. If the blood coagulation pill is crushed into powder and sprinkled on the enemy's wound, there will be the same effect. Yi Xian explained. Now, his mission was complete, and he did not let down those treasures of heaven and earth that he accepted. Next, there might be a big battle. When that time comes, he must take advantage of the chaos to escape. He did not dare to participate in a battle of this scale. He could only cower this time. Because he saw that the 5 Poison sect had about the same number of people as the 100 Poison sect, there must be more ambushes in the surroundings. Feng Yaqing wanted to ask more, but Tang Huaizhi said loudly, Brother Feng is really strong. We admit defeat this time. Since that is the case, then let's start the detoxification competition. Feng Shan said with a smile. The detoxification competition was actually a battle of life and death. The 100 Poisons sect naturally sent out their strongest disciple, Feng Yaqing. And the 5 Poisons sect could be Yang Ming. Yang Ming was Feng Yaqing's fiancée, but after that incident, they had long since become irreconcilable. Feng Yaqing was stronger than Yang Ming in terms of both her ability to use poison and her cultivation. Therefore, Feng Yaqing was certain to win this third detoxification competition. Wait. Tang Huaiji suddenly called out, Brother Feng, let's not compete in this third round. Feng Shan narrowed his eyes. You're forfeiting? No, Brother Feng. Why don't you give that plantation to me? I'm willing to buy it at market price. Tang Huaiji said in a low voice. Buy. A strange look flashed through Feng Shan's eyes. That plantation was really something else. Brother Tang, why are you so insistent on that plantation? Feng Shan asked. This. Chapter 432. Baigu Group. Brother Feng, don't ask so many questions. I can buy it at a high price. You definitely won't lose out. Feng Shan's face suddenly darkened when he heard that. He snorted coldly. Then my daughter was poisoned for nothing? You. Tang Huaiji's eyes widened. Just as he was about to speak, Feng Shan suddenly launched a sneak attack. Bam! With lightning speed, Feng Shan struck out with his palm and sent Tang Huaiji flying. This scene happened so quickly that no one could react in time. Tang Huaiji. Yang Ming wanted to poison Yaqing. Don't tell me you didn't order him too. Feng Shan shouted. Hearing that, the 5 poison sect members all drew their weapons. At first, they thought that Feng Yaqing did not tell Feng Shan about it. Now that they thought about it, they were really stupid. Feng Yaqing was almost poisoned to death. How could such a huge matter be hidden in one's heart and not told others? So you guys already knew. I thought it was impossible. Tang Huaiji stabilized himself and said coldly. Tang Huaiji, why did you order Yang Ming to poison Yaqing? Feng Shan asked. Since the matter has been exposed, then I won't hide it anymore. I guess you guys have already guessed that the plantation is not an ordinary place. Tang Huaiji sneered and said, As for how special it is, I'll tell you after you die. Then you're prepared to fight to the death? Or you've already ambushed others in the dark swamp? Feng Shan continued to ask. The strength that was revealed now was still slightly stronger than the 100 Poison Sect. However, Feng Shan was not stupid enough to think that the 5 Poison Sect only sent these people. Since things have come to this, then you guys can come out, Tang Huaiji shouted. The people from the 100 Poison Sect watched on anxiously. Soon after, they saw a figure emerge from the dark swamp. Tang Huaiji, you exposed me so quickly? A middle-aged man walked out with a strange voice. Behind him was a snow-white skeleton wielding a sword. After seeing this person, Feng Shan and the others' eyes almost popped out. Baigu Group. Feng Shan exclaimed. That's right. I'm the guardian of the Baigu Group, Gu Qi. The middle-aged man walked out with a sinister smile. Baigu Group. Most of the people present had heard that this was a sect within the territory of the Ghost Tomb region's corpse-controlling sect. They could control corpses. And this person called Gu Qi was the protector of the Baigu Group, which meant that he was at least at the 6th level of the Royal Air Force. The skeleton behind him was probably not much different. This time, 100 Poison Sect was in danger. This is bad. This Tang Huaiji is also in the Imperial Qi level 6. Including this Gu Qi, there are 3 of them, and I am the only one in the Imperial Qi level 6. Feng Shan's face was especially gloomy, as if he had already smelled the scent of death. Feng Shan, we might have spared your life if you had just obediently given up the plantation. But you're digging your own grave. Tang Huaiji gloated. You tried to poison Yaqing. Do you want me to pretend that nothing happened and let Yaqing marry Yang Ming? Feng Shan retorted. Humph. I only poisoned this girl because of our old relationship. She's the only one who will die. Otherwise, why would I compete with you guys? Tang Huaiji's eyes were cold. If it weren't for the good relationship between the 2 sects, he would have shed all pretense of cordiality and asked Gu Qi to come out and destroy 100 Poison Sect. In that case, I have nothing to say. But before that, I want to know the secret of that plantation, Feng Shan said. Tang Huaiji glanced at Gu Qi. Then Gu Qi said, Actually, it's nothing much. I suspect that the plantation is the place where a senior of the Baigu Group died. Now Feng Shan understood. It turned out that Tang Huaiji didn't want the plantation, but Gu Qi. Since it was the place where the senior died, there might be the corpse of the senior. And the white bone puppet of the Baigu Group needed corpses. I see. You're also afraid of being found out by the Poison King sect, so you're keeping a low profile. Fengshan said in realization. In the Ghost Tomb, the Corpse Master sect, the Fallen Spirit sect, and the Poison King sect were the three major powers. At the same time, the three major powers didn't allow people from the other two major powers to enter their territory. The Baigu group was a sect under the Corpse Master sect, so Gu Qi didn't dare to act in a high-profile manner. As for why he didn't go to the plantation first, it was because the Poison King sect and the 100 Poison sect had set up two defensive arrays, so he couldn't enter. Let's cut the crap. Since I'm here, I won't let any of you go. Sect leader Tang, let's do it. The middle-aged man let out an unpleasant laugh and directly controlled the skeleton behind him to attack the 100 Poison sect. At the same time, he joined forces with Tang Huaiji and rushed toward Fengshan. Retreat! Fengshan shouted and faced them head-on. If it was any other time, everyone would listen to his orders. However, at this critical moment, the group of elders behind him didn't retreat. Sect leader, we'll just fight to the death and kill them all together. Yes, the 5 Poison sect is F***head up. They actually set their sights on us. Poison them to death. Let's go all out. Even if we're all annihilated, we'll make them suffer heavy casualties. The 100 Poison sect's morale suddenly surged, and they charged back. Of course, there were still a few disciples and elders who were afraid of death who ran away. As for Yi Xian, he was also hesitating in his heart. Hurry up and leave. You only have 300 dragon power. You won't be of much help here, Feng Yaqing reminded him. Yi Xian stood there quietly, thinking in his heart. Right now, he indeed only had 300 dragon power, but if he used Beast King's Rage, he could reach 400. In addition to his agility advancement, his speed would reach 470 dragon power. After thinking for a while, he made a decision. This was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to level up. He couldn't miss it. Xiao! At that moment, he rushed out in an instant. You! Feng Yaqing was speechless. A mere 300 dragon power dared to enter. He was simply courting death. However, she didn't have time to think so much. The battle had already begun, and she had to quickly join the battle. The elders of the 100 Poison sect and the 5 Poison sect were already fighting, and the disciples were naturally no exception. Both sects used poison, so the battlefield was immediately surrounded by a cloud of poisonous powder. From time to time, people would fall to the ground and vomit blood, and some people's heads would turn into a pool of blood. However, at this time, there was a person who was freely moving through the poisonous powder. This was a young man who was close to level 4 Imperial Qi. He was Yi Xian. Ding! The host has broken through to 306 dragon power. Ding! The host has broken through to 310 dragon power. Chapter 433. Playing the pig to eat the tiger. The 5 Poison sect's true disciples' strength was between 350 and 400 dragons, and the 100 Poison sects was about the same. In Yi Xian's eyes, this kind of strength was simply a benefit. At this time, the number of dragons flying around Yi Xian had already exceeded 410. His realm was low, and the 5 Poison sect's disciples were not poor, so they leveled up quickly. In the blink of an eye, his speed had increased to 320 dragons. Adding on the Beast King's Rage and the addition of agility, his speed had already exceeded 500 dragons. So strong, he was actually playing the pig to eat the tiger? In the battle between the disciples, Feng Yaqing was somewhat shocked. She had always thought that Yi Xian was not good to look at, but she did not expect him to have such a powerful martial art. Instantly increasing to 100 dragons, this was too heaven-defying. At this time, a person suddenly rushed in front of her and slashed out with his sword. Yang Ming? I didn't go find you, and you dare to come find me? Feng Yaqing angrily blocked the sword. Stinking woman, we were engaged for a year, and you didn't even let me touch your hand. Last time, I was lucky to let you escape. Today, I will take your lowly life. Yang Ming shouted. With the help of 2 5 Poison sect's disciples, he began to madly attack Feng Yaqing, completely not understanding the current situation. The two sides had already been fighting for close to 10 seconds. If comparing the casualties, the 5 Poison sect had already lost more than 20 people, while the 100 Poison sect had only lost a dozen people. Ever since Yi Xian entered the battle, the 5 Poison sect's death toll had rapidly increased. With Yi Xian's speed exceeding 500 dragons, killing these people was like killing chickens. Although he only killed the 5 poison sex people, he could also take the 100 poison sex people's universe rings. So his realm increased rapidly. At this time, Yi Xian's eyes flashed, and he discovered Yang Ming's trio besieging Feng Yaqing. 5 poison sex young sect master, you must be very rich. Yi Xian leaned over with a smirk. Previously, Feng Yaqing was besieged by 4 people, but at that time, Yang Ming was not fully prepared, and the 3 helpers were not strong. Even though there were only 2 people helping, both of them had over 400 dragon force, which was why they were able to suppress Feng Yaqing. Feng Yaqing's expression became increasingly heavy because she saw that her father was being suppressed by Tang Huaizhi and Gu Qi. The elders were also being utterly defeated by the 5 poison sex elders and the white skeleton. If this continued, the 100 poison sect would still be destroyed. Right at this moment, suddenly, a figure flew over. Underworld swordsmanship. Sword descends to the underworld. Yi Xian coldly swept out his sword, and a disciple at the 4th level of the Imperial Qi realm was beheaded. This disciple just happened to be one of the 3 people besieging Feng Yaqing. What? The 5 poison sect's eldest senior brother Yang Ming stared blankly for a moment, then casually took out a bag of poison powder and scattered it towards Yi Xian. However, Yi Xian did not seem to care in the slightest, actually charging straight through the poison powder. Hiss! The other disciple of the 5 poison sect was also beheaded by Yi Xian. Not good, retreat. Yang Ming's expression suddenly changed, and he quickly retreated, shouting at the same time, Elder Hu, save me! Seeing this, the 5 poison sect elder who was nearby immediately turned around and rushed over. Even if someone saves you, you're dead meat. Yi Xian glanced at the elder, then swallowed the 2 universe rings in his hands. Ding! The host has broken through to 330 dragon force. This elder had 450 dragon force, and the movement technique he cultivated was of a higher level than Yi Xian's silver feather movement technique. He had also reached 100% mastery, and his strength was not bad. Even so, he could not protect Yang Ming. You even dare to kill your own fiancé? I'll send you to meet the king of hell. Yi Xian's eyes widened, and he took out a mid-grade heaven artifact. At the same time, 8 sharp blades swiftly swept out, blocking Yang Ming's path of retreat. Under the double attack, Yang Ming's defense instantly collapsed. Puh! Yang Ming's eyes widened. He only saw a cold flash in front of his eyes, and his chest was hit by a sword. This sword had even pierced through his heart. The 5 poison sect's young master, Yang Ming, died. Before this elder could attack, Yi Xian quickly took off Yang Ming's universe ring. 340 dragon force. Now, Yi Xian ignored the single digits. In fact, he had increased to 343 dragon force. Adding on the Beast King's rage, Yi Xian's realm was not inferior to this 5 poison sect elder. Although the 8 desolate sword had an increase, it was only in terms of attack. As for the silver feather movement technique, it still needed to rely on 20% of agility to advance. You actually killed Yang Ming. Die for me. This elder was furious. With a sword in one hand and a bag of unknown poison powder in the other, he madly ran towards Yi Xian. Yi Xian was not afraid of the disciple's poison powder, but this was refined by the elder, so he had to remind himself. Fighting with this level of person, Yi Xian could not use a double attack. After all, he still needed the 8 desolate swords' qi to increase. Clang! Pang! Boom! The 2 had just come into contact, and they were already attacking with full force. This elder was slightly surprised. Yi Xian was able to fight with him at such a young age, which was really rare. His left hand had been hidden, preparing to use his best poison powder to give Yi Xian a fatal blow. However, he did not expect that another person would enter the battle. Yi Xian was stunned. He discovered that the person who came to help was actually Feng Yaqing. Only then did he realize that Feng Yaqing also had 450 dragon force. Being able to quickly kill an elder was a great help to the entire situation. Although Feng Yaqing had 450 dragon force, her strength was clearly not as strong as this 5 poison sect elder. However, due to her participation, this elder was immediately beaten into retreat. Ding! The underworld sword technique's proficiency level has increased. Current level is 100%. Its power has doubled. Suddenly, a notification sound caused Yi Xian's battle strength to increase by a large margin. Just now, Yi Xian could only fight to a draw with this elder. However, now, even without Feng Yaqing's help, he could still suppress his opponent. Not good. This elder felt Yi Xian's sudden increase in attack power. His face immediately darkened. If this continued, he would be in danger. You two brats, go to hell. This elder finally could not hold it in and prepared to sprinkle the poison on his left hand. However, in the next moment, he discovered that his left hand could not move. He glanced from the corner of his eye and discovered that a small bloody hole had appeared on his left arm. What? The elder's eyes widened. He discovered a thin needle. This needle had already been smeared with poison. Amazing! Yi Xian also sighed. He did not notice when Feng Yaqing threw the needle. The 100 Poisons Princess was indeed extraordinary. Taking advantage of the moment when the 5 Poison Sect elder was distracted, Yi Xian shot forward and slashed down with his sword. Clang! The opponent blocked the sword. However, he discovered that Yi Xian's weapon had changed. The one in his hand was not the simple long sword. Chapter 434. Escape. 8 muffled sounds rang out in a row as 8 sharp blades pierced into the elder's body. Even Xiao Zhao's neck and head were pierced by 2 blades each. Dead. Yi Xian quickly caught up and took off the elder's interspatial ring. He would not give this thing to Feng Yaqing. Moreover, Feng Yaqing was not in the mood to take the interspatial ring now. Ding! The host has broken through to 350 dragon power. Yi Xian's realm increased again. At the same time with Beast King Rampage, he had reached 460 dragon power, which was even higher than Feng Yaqing. However, Beast King Rampage's duration was just over, and he immediately dropped to 350 dragon power. Feng Yaqing witnessed all this and was very surprised. However, she was only surprised for a moment before looking at the other battlefield. There were a total of 3 battlefields here. The first was the battle between the disciples, the second was the battle between the elders, and the third was the battle between Tang Huaizhi, Gu Qi, and Feng Shan. In the third battle, Feng Shan was defeated by the combined forces of the two. The situation in the second battle was not very good either. Because there was a white skeleton at level 6 of the Imperial Qi realm, several elders of the 100 Poison Sect had already been killed. Yaqing, leave quickly. At this moment, Feng Shan suddenly shouted in the third battle. Father! Feng Yaqing shouted. Leave quickly, we have no hope. Quickly return to the 100 Poison Sect and inform the other elders. Feng Shan shouted as he held on. He also understood that he probably could not hold on for long. Feng Yaqing's face was full of worry, but she could also see the current situation. The elders of the 100 Poison Sect were already being held back, and there was even a white skeleton. It was only a matter of time before the 100 Poison Sect was completely wiped out. Yi Xian, who was on the side, was also quickly calculating in his heart. Right now, he had 350 dragon strength. Even if he obtained the universe rings of the elders, it wouldn't be of any use. If that white skeleton of the Imperial Qi stage were to target him, he would be dead for sure. This battle was already a foregone conclusion. Let's go. If we all die here, your 100 Poison Sect might. Yi Xian reminded him. If everyone was completely annihilated, then the people of the 5 Poison Sect could pretend to visit afterwards, and then slaughter the people of the 100 Poison Sect. At that time, those that would die would not only be these people. Brat, take her away and spread the news. Feng Shan shouted. The Baigu group had actually entered the Poison King Sect's territory. If others found out, Gu Qi would definitely be killed. Little White, go and kill them. Gu Qi commanded in a strange voice. Immediately, the skeleton turned to look at Yi Xian and rushed over. Not good. Yi Xian was shocked. What he was worried about had happened. He hurriedly used Beast King Rampage again, increasing his strength to 460 dragons. He then grabbed Feng Yaqing and turned to run. Fortunately, this skeleton was different from the Qi Lian Overlord. It couldn't use true Qi, which meant that it couldn't fly and couldn't use martial arts, so it couldn't catch up with Yi Xian. After chasing for a while, it lost track of Yi Xian and the other two, then turned around and returned. Gu Qi definitely wouldn't have thought that Yi Xian could burst out with a speed comparable to the 6th level of the Royal Qi realm. This surprised him. Yi Xian left with Feng Yaqing at an extremely fast speed. He didn't stop until the time of Beast King Rampage passed. He felt very regretful, because if he didn't have Gu Qi, he might have been able to increase his strength to 400 dragons this time. Your father will be fine. Yi Xian let go of Feng Yaqing's wrist and comforted her. However, he didn't think so in his heart. Feng Shan was 630 dragons. Tang Huaiji and Gu Qi were both 620 dragons. With the two of them working together, Feng Shan already felt great pressure. That white skeleton had just joined the battle between the elders. Now that most of the elders were dead, the elders of the 5 poison sect were enough to suppress the elders of the 100 poison sect. Thus, the white skeleton could definitely kill its way back. If that white skeleton joined the battle again, Feng Shan would be hacked to death in less than 10 seconds. You don't have to comfort me, Feng Yaqing said with red eyes. She was an 18-year-old girl, but she was strong. At this time, she was still able to hold back her tears, which was worthy of praise. After all, the Black Scorpion King that she had brought up since she was young was also killed by the other party in the battle just now. Let's go, Feng Yaqing said after a while. Wait! Yi Xian suddenly called out to her. Feng Yaqing turned her head strangely and looked at Yi Xian. Now, the battle over there might have already ended. Even if there is no battle with their speed, it will not be difficult to catch up. If we go directly to your 100 poison sect, they will definitely catch up, Yi Xian said. After his reminder, Feng Yaqing also instantly understood. They were now going straight back to the 100 poison sect, and behind them were experts of the 6th level of Imperial Qi. They could not outrun them. Then what should we do? Feng Yaqing frowned. Think about it. Is there any other place where we can ask for help? Or, are there any other sects nearby? Yi Xian asked again. Feng Yaqing thought about it carefully and found that there really was a sect in the vicinity. There is a flying scorpion pavilion nearby. One of my senior sisters married here. Although their strength is not 1/10 of my 100 poison valleys, they still have experts of the 5th level of Imperial Qi, which is equivalent to the main sect. Feng Yaqing said. Then let's go there first. Ask them to send an expert to inform the 100 poison sect. Yi Xian nodded. Okay. Immediately, they headed in the direction of the Flying Scorpion Pavilion. Based on Feng Yaqing's speed, they only needed 1 day to reach the Flying Scorpion Pavilion. But if they were going back to the 100 poison sect, they would need at least 3 days. Although Feng Yaqing had never been to the Flying Scorpion Pavilion, they fortunately had a map. This time, Yi Xian also played the role of a flower protector. Although his mission was completed, he felt that there was still a lot of room for improvement. After all, when the time came, he might be able to use the 100 poison sect's banner to destroy the 5 poison sect. The Flying Scorpion Pavilion was built on the edge of a cliff, and this cliff was where the Flying Scorpion Pavilion raised its flying scorpions. Yi Xian and Feng Yaqing ran for a day and finally saw this cliff. However, at this moment, ha ha ha, you two little guys really want to come to the Flying Scorpion Pavilion to ask for help. Suddenly, a hearty laugh sounded. 2 figures suddenly descended from the sky, intercepting Yi Xian and Feng Yaqing. Feng Yaqing's expression changed drastically. She did not expect to be intercepted on the way to the Flying Scorpion Pavilion. She looked carefully and found that the weakest of the two had 470 dragons, while the other had 480 dragons. And she only had 450 dragons of power. Against a 5 poison sect elder, it was a bit of a stretch. This was troublesome. Chapter 435. Interception. Teseske, little girl, our sect leader and Gu Qi have already gone to the 100 poison sect to capture people. As long as the formation is broken, your 100 poison sect will definitely be bathed in blood. A fat old man grinned. Why are you telling her so much? If the Poison King sect finds out that we are working with the Baigu group, the entire 5 poison sect will be annihilated. The small-eyed middle-aged man reminded. It doesn't matter. Could it be that these two still want to live in front of us? That kid must have used some kind of secret technique to increase his speed that day. He looks normal now, but is actually very weak. The fat old man looked like victory was in sight. Yi Xian and Feng Yaqing looked at each other, and the latter immediately asked, "How are my father and the others?" "Besides your father, the others are all dead. But your father is a tough bone and refused to remove the formation of the plantation, so we sent people to the 100 poison sect." As the fat old man spoke, he suddenly remembered something and said, "Oh right, those corpses of your 100 poison sect were all taken away by Gu Qi. It won't be long before they all become white bone battle puppets. Feng Yaqing clenched her teeth, but she heaved a sigh of relief in her heart, because her father was not dead yet. However, she had to get through this crisis first. All right, don't talk too much with them. Leave these two to me. The small-eyed middle-aged man walked out with a sinister smile on his face. I heard that Yang Ming was killed by you, and the sect master wants your body. However, before you hand it over, let me first show. Before he could finish his sentence, several thin needles flew out of his hand. Insignificant skill. The small-eyed middle-aged man coldly snorted. He turned his head to look at Yi Xian and said, "Brat, you can come as well. Don't worry, I won't kill you because I want to ask you about that martial art. If that's the case, then I'll accept." Yi Xian's mouth slightly curled, and he took out the Bahuang sword. Previously, his underworld sword technique had reached 100% mastery, and after a day of hurrying, his silver feather movement technique had also reached 90% mastery. Moreover, after killing the elder, Yi Xian's strength increased by 10 dragons. Therefore, with his current level, it was more than enough to kill these two people. You go first, I'll deal with these two. After Yi Xian finished speaking, he directly rushed out. Feng Yaqing was shocked, but she controlled herself because she felt that Yi Xian should be able to handle it. She immediately made a turn and charged toward the flying scorpion pavilion. Good kid, I want this martial art, this old fatty, help. The small-eyed middle-aged man knew that Yi Xian's strength hadn't decreased. He also knew that he couldn't defeat Yi Xian by himself, so he hurriedly shouted. All right. The fat old man replied. He ignored Feng Yaqing and directly charged towards Yi Xian. What was the Five Poisons sect? Even if the Five Poisons sect was destroyed, they could change their names and seek refuge elsewhere. If they could obtain Yi Xian's supreme martial art that could increase their strength by 100 dragons, they would be rich. In an instant, the two of them erupted with all their strength. The chubby old man had 480 dragons, and the small-eyed middle-aged man had 470 dragons. The two of them were also experts of the sect. Under their combined strength, they could even fight an expert with 490 dragons. After all, they were members of the Five Poisons sect. However, they were not facing an ordinary warrior, but Yi Xian. Beast King Rage. 350 dragons instantly increased to 460 dragons, which was not much different from the two of them. But don't forget, Yi Xian had the Bahuang sword, agility advancement, and the Sword Saint bloodline. Even the outdated boxer bloodline could increase his attack speed by 30%. Underworld sword technique. Yi Xian's eyes were cold, and he did not say a word as he madly attacked. Such a powerful sword technique, it's definitely at 100% mastery. The 10,000 poison sex experts immediately felt a huge pressure. Even if they joined forces, it was very difficult to block. However, this made their desire for Yi Xian's Beast King Rage even stronger. I must get this martial art. The two of them thought at the same time. From the beginning, Yi Xian had the upper hand. If he was given some time, the two of them would definitely be killed by his Bahuang sword. However, he felt uneasy in his heart. It had been like this ever since Feng Yaqing left. Yi Xian looked at Feng Yaqing's back and suddenly made a decision to end this quickly. Kid, take this. At this time, the 10,000 poison sex experts suddenly threw out a handful of white powder. In Yi Xian's eyes, the poison powder was more terrifying than the poison pill, just like the powder that melted his arm that day. If he was not careful, his head would be melted, and that would be the end of him. Therefore, he did not dare to be careless. After cleverly dodging, he rushed in front of the 10,000 poison sex expert. Taking advantage of the opportunity when Yi Xian dodged the poison powder, the 10,000 poison sex expert stabbed his sword. However, he did not expect Yi Xian to take advantage of this opportunity and counter. Rip! The long sword pierced through Yi Xian's shoulder. At the same time, Yi Xian's left hand tightly clasped the 10,000 poison sex expert's wrist. Underworld sword technique. Sword descends to the underworld. Yi Xian's eyes flashed. He swept out his sword and instantly cut the 10,000 poison sex expert in half. Humph! Yi Xian snorted and took the 10,000 poison sex expert's ring. Ding! The host has broken through to 360 dragon power. His cultivation level had increased again. At this time, the 10,000 poison sex expert attacked. Bastard, go to hell. The 10,000 poisons sex expert was actually careful. He could have attacked earlier, but in order to monopolize this martial art, he killed the 10,000 poisons sex expert. Ding! The host has been poisoned. Beginning detoxification. Ding! The poison has been detoxified. 2 notifications sounded in Yixian's mind. This was the poison smeared on the 10,000 poison sex long sword. It could paralyze Yixian for a while. However, this poison only lasted for a moment before it was detoxified by the sacred tree of life bloodline. Underworld sword technique. Sword descends to the underworld. Rip! The 10,000 poison sex expert's head flew off. He did not expect Yixian to be able to move. He had to admit that the sacred tree of life bloodline was really good. Yixian's heart was pounding. He quickly put away the 10,000 poison sex interspatial ring and the 2 corpses. Then, he quickly left the place because he had a strange feeling that this matter was not as simple as it seemed. Ding! The host has broken through to 370 dragon power. After devouring the 10,000 poison sex interspatial ring, Yixian's cultivation level increased again. After devouring the 10,000 poison sex interspatial ring, he actually had 363 dragon power and increased by 13 dragons. This time, it was exactly 370 dragons. Chapter 436. Fengyaqing, hostage. Yixian hid in the clouds high up in the sky for a while before he saw 3 figures flying over. He had seen these 3 people before in the team battle. However, they were all elders of the 5 poison sect. As expected, they arrived at the Flying Scorpion Pavilion first and waited for us. Now, they should be holding the 100 Poison Princess hostage, preparing to blackmail the 100 Poison Sect leader to remove the formation. Yixian pondered in the sky. He took a look and found that among the 3 people below, one was a level 5 Imperial Qi expert, while the other 2 were also at 490 dragons. They were very strong. Looks like we need to plan for the long term. Yixian shook his head helplessly. The 2 with 490 dragons were still manageable, but he had no confidence in dealing with the level 5 Imperial Qi expert. Moreover, the 5 Poison Sect probably used the excuse of visiting to visit the Flying Scorpion Pavilion, so the Flying Scorpion Pavilion might not know that the 5 Poison Sect was in cahoots with the Baigu group. Therefore, Yixian thought of a good idea. He watched from high up in the sky. After the 3 people below circled around, they returned to the Flying Scorpion Pavilion. I don't know if the Flying Scorpion Pavilion colluded with the 5 Poison Sect, or if they were deceived by the 5 Poison Sect. However, Fengyaqing should have been captured. Yixian thought in his heart. The 5 Poison Sect could have many reasons for Fengyaqing's capture, such as Fengyaqing running away from the wedding and so on. Then, Yixian took out a pen and paper and wrote dozens of letters. The letters talked about the 5 Poison Sect colluding with the Baigu group, then tied them to dozens of long swords. He wanted to tell the Flying Scorpion Pavilion about this and let them know what happened. Perhaps they could save Fengyaqing. Although this might put Fengyaqing in danger, if Fengyaqing was used to threaten Fengshan, the 2 of them would definitely be eliminated after this. Therefore, Yixian could only gamble once. He flew above the Flying Scorpion Pavilion. Coincidentally, a group of people also walked out of the Flying Scorpion Pavilion. It was the 5 Poison Sect elder who had captured Fengyaqing, bidding farewell to the people of the Flying Scorpion Pavilion. They had only caught Fengyaqing alone. The 2 people who were on guard outside were nowhere to be seen, leaving only traces of blood. This inevitably made them vigilant, so they had to leave immediately. The 4 elders of the 5 Poison Sect seized Fengyaqing and quickly left. At the same time, Yixian also began to move. Swish! Dozens of weapons were fired at the Flying Scorpion Pavilion. Enemy attack! The disciples of the Flying Scorpion Pavilion hurriedly pulled out their weapons, but they realized that the targets of these hidden weapons were not them. Furthermore, the weapons all carried letters. When the disciples saw the contents of the letter, their expressions changed. Then, they followed the pavilion master of the Flying Scorpion Pavilion. Not long after, a group of people from the Flying Scorpion Pavilion chased after the 5 Poison Sect elder. Their speed was very fast. If Yixian did not use Beast King Rampage, he would not be able to catch up. As his realm increased, the Saint Beast corpses in the devouring space were only enough to use Beast King Rampage once. Yixian did not want to waste it. He followed behind the Flying Scorpion Pavilion group with all his strength, hoping that the Flying Scorpion Pavilion could intercept the 4 elders of the 5 poison sect. When he saw the group sent by the Flying Scorpion Pavilion, he immediately understood that the Flying Scorpion Pavilion should have been deceived. Otherwise, they only needed to send one person to escape. There was no need to send a group of experts. Bang! 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 After Xianxia hurried for a while, a series of explosions came from the front. It seemed that the Flying Scorpion Pavilion group was fighting with the 5 Poison Sect group. There were 4 people from the 5 Poison Sect. 2 of them were at the 5th level of the Imperial Qi Realm and 2 were at the 4th level of the Imperial Qi Realm with 490 dragons. And this Flying Scorpion Pavilion group only had 1 level 5 Imperial Qi and 4 level 4 Imperial Qi. In terms of numbers, the Flying Scorpion Pavilion had the advantage, but the 5 Poison Sect had 2 5th level Imperial Qi cultivators. If they really fought, it was not certain who would win or lose, although the 5 Poison Sect still needed to send out a person to guard Feng Yaqing. However, when Xianxia arrived, he found that one of the Flying Scorpion Pavilion people had already died. Now it was 3 against 4. After all, the Flying Scorpion Pavilion is not a large sect like the 100 Poison Sect or the 5 Poison Sect. They do not have enough battle power. If they continue to fight, the Flying Scorpion Pavilion will definitely be wiped out. In the air, Xianxia had already seen through the situation. He also knew that it was time for him to make a move. Facing a level 5 Imperial Qi expert, he did not have confidence. But if the Flying Scorpion experts were added, it would be different. At that moment, he used Beast King Rampage. His 370 dragon power instantly increased to 480 dragon power. Then, he quickly landed on the ground. In order to avoid trouble, he still used Beast King Rampage first before killing his way out, in case the Flying Scorpion Pavilion also coveted Beast King Rampage. With 480 dragon power, adding on the speed bonus, his speed could reach 580. Adding on the 90% silver feather movement technique, it was already enough to contend against the 510 Dragon Elder of the 5 Poison Sect. Rip! A head flew up. There were finally casualties on the 5 Poison Sect side, because Xianxia's location was right behind Feng Yaqing. The person who died was the 5 Poison Sect Elder who was in charge of guarding Feng Yaqing. 490 Dragon Strength. Ding! The host has broken through to 375 dragon power. Xianxia instantly devoured the universe ring. When the 2 sides discovered Xianxia, his flying dragons had already increased to 488. Retreat! Xianxia released the restraints on Feng Yaqing's body. After giving a low shout, he charged out again. This speed made even the 510th Dragon Elder of the 5 Poison Sect feel his heart palpitate. So fast! The eyes of the Flying Scorpion Pavilion people brightened. Very clearly, Xianxia came to help. The 5 Poison Sect's Imperial Qi level 5. One had 510 dragons, the other had 500 dragons. After Xianxia joined the battle, he immediately went to find trouble with the 500 Dragon Elder. Although in terms of movement technique, Xianxia's silver feather movement technique was much weaker than the 5 Poison Sect Elders, the Beast King agility advancement allowed his speed to be much faster than the opponent. It's you, this brat, who killed Yang Ming. Dang! The 500 Dragon Elder shouted loudly. He took out a bag of poison powder and sprinkled it at Xianxia. Rotting corpse powder? Xianxia recognized it at a glance. He had eaten this poison powder before, so this thing was completely useless to him. Charge! He directly charged over while enduring the rotting corpse powder, catching the elder off guard. Underworld swordsmanship, underworld burial. The corner of Xianxia's mouth curled up slightly. With a swing of his sword, countless wind blades flew up, cutting the elder's body until there was not an inch of skin left. The wounds were so deep that the bones could be seen. This was comprehended after the underworld swordsmanship was raised to 100%. It was a bit similar to the 8 Desolation Wind-Killing Formation, but the 8 Desolation Wind-Killing Formation was unable to be strengthened by the 8 Desolation Sword. Actually, the 8 Desolation Wind-Killing Formation was very powerful. It was just that Xianxia was always challenging those above his level, so he was almost eliminated by him. Underworld Swordsmanship, Sword descends to the Underworld. Chapter 437. Breaking the Formation Rip. The elder's neck was cut open and his head flew up. Blood splattered 3 meters into the air. 5th level Imperial Qi. Dead. Ding! The host has broken through to 382 dragon strength. His realm increased again. Before Yi Xian appeared, this elder's opponents were two martial artists with 490 dragon strength. Yi Xian's method of instantly killing a 5th-level imperial qi deeply impressed them. Now, the 5 poison sect only had 2 people left. One was a 4th-level imperial qi, and the other was an elder with 510 dragon strength. It's you again. You're disturbing my 5 poison sect's business. The sect leader will definitely not let you go. The 510 dragon strength elder shouted loudly. So what? I only know that you're going to die today. Yi Xian replied coldly and attacked again. In less than 3 seconds, this elder also died. The universe ring fell into Yi Xian's hands. Ding! The host has broken through to 390 dragon strength. After Yi Xian swallowed the universe ring, the last 4th-level imperial qi of the 5 poison sect was also stabbed to death by the Flying Scorpion Pavilion's experts. Now the 5 poison sect's team was completely annihilated, but the Flying Scorpion Pavilion also lost a member. Thank you for your help, little brother. The middle-aged leader of the Flying Scorpion Pavilion hurriedly walked over. This time, if not for Yi Xian's help, they would have been in danger. Yi Xian nodded slightly and looked at Feng Yaqing. They used me running away from the marriage as an excuse to hold me hostage. Feng Yaqing directly said what happened. Only now did the middle-aged man understand that Yi Xian was with Feng Yaqing. He hurriedly said guiltily, Miss Feng, I'm very sorry. We were also deceived by the 5 poison sect. This time, they had fallen into their own trap. If they had not listened to the 5 poison sect's elder when Feng Yaqing came in, they probably would not have lost a member now. Feng Yaqing and Yi Xian looked at each other. Originally, they wanted to ask for help from the Flying Scorpion Pavilion. The pavilion master of the Flying Scorpion Pavilion was an expert with 550 dragon power. Although he could not save the 100 poison sect, he could spread the news. Senior, please spread the news. Feng Yaqing requested. Of course, the Baigu group actually dared to wander around our territory. How audacious. I'll get someone to send the order to the Blood Crow sect. They'll definitely send experts. However, I don't know if I can make it in time. The middle-aged man frowned. The pavilion master of the Flying Scorpion Pavilion only had 550 dragon power, and he was not in the Flying Scorpion Pavilion, so they could not help. Feng Yaqing furrowed her brows. It seemed that the 100 poison sect would not be able to escape this calamity. At this moment, Yi Xian suddenly said, You stay here. I'll go take a look at your 100 poison sect. You! Feng Yaqing raised her head in surprise. Although Yi Xian could kill Royal Heir Tier 5, there were Royal Heir Tier 6 going to the 100 poison sect, and there were even 3 of them. Going there was just courting death. I'm just going to ask around for information. You just wait here. Yi Xian did not give Feng Yaqing a chance to refuse, and quickly left. He and Feng Yaqing had only met in poverty, and could not even be considered friends. He had already completed what Feng Yaqing wanted him to do, and he had not even given her the reward. Yi Xian helping this time was actually just to find an excuse to kill. He would not foolishly go against the 5 poison sect. Before he had the strength, he would not appear. His speed was still a bit too slow. When he spent more than a day to reach the 100 poison sect, the 100 poison sect had already been massacred. Not a single one of the upper echelons of the 100 poison sect was left. The remaining people did not exceed 400 dragon power. According to the sect disciples, the 5 poison sect people were heading towards the branch sections. The 100 poison sect people were not willing to break the formation, so they set their sights on the branch sects. Yi Xian thought in his heart. Other than the head elder who had already died in battle, the 100 poisons branch sects still had a sect master with 540 dragon power, as well as a few elders with over 400 dragon power. Perhaps they also knew how to break the formation. Although it was called a formation, it was actually a large pile of traps. Even the 5 poison sect, who were on the same side, did not dare to rashly enter. Therefore, this plantation had to be broken by the 5 poison sect and the 100 poison sect together. Although Tang Huaiji and the others had gone to the 100 poisons branch sects, perhaps this would be another bloodbath. Therefore, Yi Xian simply did not return to the 100 poisons branch sects, and instead headed straight for that plantation. That plantation had been set up with a poison formation, but Yi Xian had the bloodline of the sacred tree of life. Perhaps he could directly break the formation and enter? Moreover, Feng Yaqing had previously told him the location of the plantation. If he could enter and find the bones of that 8th-level Imperial Qi cultivator, he would be able to make all of Gu Qi's efforts go to waste. Immediately, he madly dashed in one direction. He had to enter the plantation before the 5 Poison Sect. This plantation was not far from the 100 Poison Sect, but with Yi Xian's speed, it would still take him 2 days to reach it. 2 days later, he found this plantation located in a large canyon. However, he was still one step too slow. At this time, there were already quite a few people around this plantation. Tang Huaizhi, Gu Qi, and his white-boned battle puppet. Yi Xian looked around. The 3 great 6th-level Imperial Qi cultivators were among them. In addition, there were the elders of the 5 Poison Sect and the people of the 100 Poison Sect. However, he did not find Feng Shan. He did not know if he had been imprisoned elsewhere, or if he had already been killed. Elder Wu, young master Shi? High in the air, Yi Xian could not help but be startled. Looking at the situation, it should be the people of the 100 Poison Sect who had betrayed them, switching sides to the 5 Poison Sect. They were truly opportunists. This time, all the elders of the 100 Poison Sect had come, and there were even quite a few true disciples. At this time, Tang Huaizhi, Gu Qi, and the other experts were following behind a middle-aged man, entering the poison array. This plantation was very large, and there were a total of 2 layers of poison arrays. The inner layer was set up by the 5 Poison Sect, and the outer layer was set up by the 100 Poison Sect. This poison array was actually a dangerous area where a maze, poisonous fog, poisonous grass, and poisonous creatures were mixed together. If one entered from the air, they would be attacked by the poisonous creatures in the air. Using fire to burn them would not work either. After all, these things could not be burned by ordinary flames. If the poisonous grass was chopped off, that would be even more impossible. If the sap and poisonous powder spread, the danger would only increase. Therefore, the only way was to break the array. Moreover, the plantation was likely to be even more dangerous. Tang Huaizhi and the others needed the correct location to find the place where the elder of the Baigu group had fallen. As for the middle-aged man who led Tang Huaizhi, Gu Qi, and the other experts in, he was the leader of the 100 Poison Sect. Chapter 438. Ambush. Based on the clothes they were wearing, these 2 were about the same as the ones Yi Xian had killed outside the Flying Scorpion Pavilion, at most 520 dragon power. Although Yi Xian had used up his last Beast King rampage outside the Flying Scorpion Pavilion, he had gained quite a lot of dragon power afterwards. In addition to the killings he had done along the way, he could still use it one more time. At this time, he was hesitating whether to kill these people outside, then charge into the poison array and kill the 100 Poison Sect branch leader as well. Forget it, I'll go all out. I have all kinds of bloodlines. As long as I kill the branch leader, I might be able to trap them inside then. As Yi Xian thought in his heart, he quietly descended and approached the group of guards outside. Beast King Rampage. Yi Xian suddenly increased his strength and directly charged in. In the blink of an eye, several heads flew, all of them belonging to the 100 Poison Sect branch leader. What? The 2 5 Poison Sect elders were shocked. By the time they reacted, half of the team had already been slaughtered. Yi Xian's speed exceeded 600 dragon power, shuttling through the crowd. With a single slash of his sword, he could kill several people. Young Master Shi, tsk. Elder Wu, you should report to hell as well. Yi Xian was a vengeful person. Now, he had already taken 2/3 of his revenge. Only Steward Qiu was left. In less than 3 seconds, other than the 2 5 Poison Sect's 5th stage Imperial Qi elders, everyone else was killed by Yi Xian. This time, not only did he obtain a large number of yin and yang rings, but his martial arts had also improved. His silver feather movement technique had finally reached 100% mastery. Haha, the heavens are helping me. You too can go to hell as well. Yi Xian's morale was high. His speed suddenly increased, and in 2 moves, he cut off the heads of the 2 elders. The improvement of his martial arts had come at just the right time. Ding! The host has broken through to 400 dragon power. The items from these dozens of people allowed Yi Xian to break through to the 4th level of the Imperial Qi branch leader. Yi Xian did not feel complacent because of this, because he still had to complete an important mission, which was to kill the branch leader of the 100 Poison Sect. Thus, he charged into the poison array. As expected, The poison mist had no effect on him, so he could pass through it without obstruction. This poison array can only be dispelled by the sect master. I wonder where they went. Yi Xian began to move around the poison array. Although he couldn't see, he could sense everything within 1,000 meters. Moreover, even if it was the branch sect leader of the 100 Poison sect, it wouldn't be that easy to break through this formation. Therefore, Yi Xian reckoned that their speed wouldn't be fast. Sure enough, 10 seconds after Yi Xian entered the poison array, he found that group of people. 6 poisons 5 poisons sect. A poison owns a 5 poisons sect. 10 of them were naturally the elders of the 5 poisons sect. As for the last one, he was definitely the branch head of the 100 poisons sect. Found you. I'll kill you in one blow. Yi Xian's eyes shot out 2 rays of murderous intent as he quietly approached them. At this moment, some people in the team also felt that something was wrong. There's movement. It's very fast. Gu Qi, who was walking in second place, frowned and said in a neutral voice. Don't worry, Guardian Gu. It should be a sacred beast that accidentally entered the poison array. If it dares to come, we'll kill it, Tang Huaiji explained. No, it's the sound of human footsteps. Gu Qi shook his head. Although his cultivation level was the same as Tang Huaiji's, his strength was stronger than Tang Huaiji's. He heard it clearly. It was the sound of 2 feet on the ground. However, just as he finished speaking, a figure suddenly rushed out of the poison mist. This figure was extremely fast, and in the blink of an eye, it swept past them. Everyone was startled as they discovered that there was something out of the ordinary moving towards them. It's poison powder. Be careful. Tang Huaiji cried out in alarm. This pile of poison powder was not small. This was the most powerful poison powder that Yi Xian could currently refine. It was enough to kill a level 5 Imperial Qi expert. He ran too fast this time, so the poison powder didn't kill a single person. It only corroded a few pieces of flesh from their hands. However, he had achieved his goal. When Tang Huaiji and the others dispersed the poison powder, they found that the sect leader of the 100 Poison sect, who was walking in front of the team, had disappeared. Yes, he had disappeared. On the ground, there was a pool of blood. Everyone present smelled the scent of blood. Damn it, he was killed. Tang Huaiji cursed. The first poison array was set up by the 100 Poison sect. They finally found someone to break it, but he was killed. What were they going to do next? He's already dead. Since that's the case, let's break the array by force, Gu Qi said. Just now, he did not react in time. That was why Yi Xian ran away. Okay, we'll break the array by force. Everyone be careful. That person may appear again. Tang Huaiji gritted his teeth and shouted. They continued to move forward very carefully. At this time, Yi Xian was hiding in a poisonous flower garden. There's a poisonous beehive in front of them. I'll make a move when they are attacked by the poisonous beehive. This plantation originally had nothing, but after the 2 poison arrays were set up, many poisonous creatures moved in. Although these poisonous creatures were not strong, their toxicity was so strong that even the experts of the 5 Poison sect had to be cautious. Yi Xian quietly followed behind this group of people. He was calculating the distance between this group of people and the poisonous beehive in his mind. At the same time, he was calculating the duration of the Beast King's rage. He only had one chance to make a move. If he did not replenish the sacred beast corpses, he would not be able to resist anymore. There was only one chance. He had to grasp it. The 5 Poison sect team continued to move forward. They were only 300 meters away from the poisonous beehive. 200 meters. 100 meters. At this time, whoosh! A slash broke through the poisonous fog and instantly cut the poisonous beehive that was bigger than a clothes rack in half. In an instant, countless thumb-sized poisonous bees swept out. Each of them had the ability to poison 300 dragon power martial artists to death. Not good. Everyone be careful. Tang Huaiji shouted. This poisonous bee swarm covered the sky and the earth as it swept towards this team. There were more than 1,000 of them. This time, Tang Huaiji and the others were in trouble. However, these people were at least level 5 Imperial Qi. Even if there were 1,000 poisonous bees, they would not be able to do much to them. Therefore, Yi Xian made a move. He, who was not afraid of the poisonous grass, rushed towards Tang Huaiji and the others. Be careful. Tang Huaiji heard the hurried footsteps and reminded them again. However, it was already too late. Ah! A series of screams sounded. The elders behind Tang Huaiji let out miserable cries. Some of them had already fallen to the ground. Underworld sword technique. Underworld burial. A wave of chaotic and disorderly qi swept out, instantly killing a 5th-level Imperial Qi Realm Elder who was resisting the poisonous wasps. Chapter 439. A strange poison array. It's that brat. Go kill him. Gu Qi immediately ordered. At that moment, his white bone battle puppet quickly flew out, stepping on the poisonous flowers and grass as it charged towards Yi Xian. Yi Xian could not beat him now, so he quickly fled. He then circled around the corpses and took all their interspatial rings. These elders had massacred the 100 Poison sect, so they must have many good things on them. Ding! The host has broken through to 410 dragon power. Ding! The host has broken through to 420 dragon power. Ding! The host has broken through to 430 dragon power. The 4 corpses allowed Yi Xian to gain 30 dragon power. At this time, most of the poison bees were killed, and Yi Xian's Beast King rampage was about to end, so he quickly fled. The skeletal war puppet could not find him, so it turned back. Damn it! When Tang Huaiji killed the last wave of poison bees, he was so angry that he gritted his teeth, and his hair stood on end. He recognized Yi Xian. Last time, he could have wiped out the 100 Poison sect in one fell swoop, but Yi Xian suddenly appeared, causing Yi Xian and Feng Yaqing to escape. This time, Yi Xian disturbed him again, and even killed 4 elders of the 5 Poison sect. Now, other than the 3 of them who were at level 6 of the Imperial Qi realm, there were only 6 elders who were at level 5 of the Imperial Qi realm. Sect leader, what do we do now? An elder asked after removing the poison from his body. Continue to break the array. Tang Huaiji gritted his teeth. The last time we were here, there was only some white bone grass planted on the ground, so we set up a poison array and scattered some seeds. But we did not expect it to become so dangerous in such a short time. I feel. What do you feel? Tang Huaiji asked coldly. The changes here are beyond our expectations. There may be a powerful poisonous creature here, the elder said. In fact, Tang Huaiji had also felt it. This was only the first layer of the poison array, and there were already over 1,000 poisonous wasps. If they reached the poison array set up by the 5 Poison sect, it would most likely be even more dangerous. Not to mention the plantation that was surrounded by 2 layers of poison arrays. Don't worry, as long as we find those white bone grass, I will be able to find my senior's bones. At that time, I will not mistreat you. Gu Qi said in a sarcastic tone. The white bone grass was the symbol of the fall of the experts of the Baigu group. Previously, the people of the 5 Poison sect had coincidentally seen the white bone grass and reported the matter to Tang Huaiji. Wherever there was white bone grass, one had to be careful. All the sects in the Corpse Master sect's territory practiced similar cultivation methods, which would change their physiques. After they died, their corpses might mutate. If they recklessly dug up the white bone grass, they would be in big trouble. But this elder still wanted to say something. Tang Huaiji directly interrupted him. No buts. As long as we help Gu Qi find the corpses, we will go our separate ways. The remains of a level 8 Imperial Qi expert is enough for each of us to establish a faction comparable to the 5 Poison sect. Now that 4 people have died, we will split even more. In fact, he and Gu Qi had a private agreement. As long as they found the corpses, then he would join forces with Gu Qi to eradicate these 5 Poison sect elders. After all, there were too many people. And he was not afraid of Gu Qi betraying him, because Gu Qi was his brother. It was just that these elders did not know. The remaining 6 elders looked at each other and all nodded. They were still convinced. The remains of a level 8 Imperial Qi expert. Even if it was divided among 10 people, it was still enough. This group continued forward. The 4 people who died just now were not of high realms, while the remaining 6 people had all reached 550 dragons. The strongest was 580 dragons. If the 6 of them joined forces, they could even fight a level 6 Imperial Qi expert. Yi Xian did not hear their words. He was too far away. They continue forward again. Let's wait until they find the corpses first. Yi Xian, who was hiding not far away, thought so in his heart. Just now, he had obtained 4 corpses. He had made a huge profit, and even replenished the corpses of sacred beasts. Because these 5 poison sect elders had previously killed the 100 poison sect elders, and then charged into the 100 poison sect to loot, it would be strange if their pockets were not full. Xian estimated that if he killed the remaining 6 people, he could at least break through to 450 dragons. Next, he followed behind these people, advancing bit by bit. Tang Huaiji in the front group said in a low voice, "That kid is still following us. How did he avoid these dangers?" "Don't worry about it. Just now, when my white bone battlehoe was chasing him, its foot stepped on the poison powder. If another accident happens, it will be troublesome." Gu Qi replied in a low voice. Fortunately, the 100 poison sect branch leader had just explained the method to break the formation, so they were not blindly breaking the formation. After about 5 minutes, they came out of the 100 poison sect's poison formation. Next, it was the 5 poison sect's own poison formation. "This is my 5 poison sect's 100 poison devouring great formation. Other than the 100 types of poisonous grasses, we also sprinkled a large amount of bloodthirsty flying scorpions and other poisonous creatures' larvae. After so long, they should be able to threaten us. Everyone, follow me closely. Be careful." Tang Huaiji still walked in the front, and then entered this 10,000 poison devouring great formation. There was only one way to break this formation, and he remembered it very clearly. As long as there were no accidents, they could easily break this formation. At this time, Xian also walked out of the 100 poison sect's poison formation. He could not help but sigh. People who used poison were truly terrifying. Fortunately, he had the sacred tree of life's bloodline, otherwise, he would have died 100 times already. Previously, Old Monster Hong went to a lower-level territory to plant, so there was no need to go through so much trouble. And this plantation was in the Ghost Tomb territory. The 100 poison sect and 5 poison sect were afraid that the poisonous grasses they painstakingly planted would be taken advantage of by others, so they developed 2 poison formations. In these few months, Xian had learned quite a bit about poisonous grasses. Whenever he saw something he did not recognize on the road, he would quietly pluck a leaf and then increase his resistance to poison. This poison formation was large and complicated. Some of the poisonous grasses grew even taller than Xian. At the same time, there were often things flying through the air. Xian followed very carefully, maintaining a distance of 1,000 meters from the front. This time, the 5 poison sects team was very fast. They walked out in less than 3 minutes. "We're finally out." Tang Huaiji frowned slightly, because the plantation in front of him had already grown into a forest. "There really is something here. Just based on the seeds I scattered, it's impossible for them to grow like this. There must be a powerful poisonous creature entrenched here. I wonder what realm it is. It's at least Royal Qi level 5, maybe Royal Qi level 6. The 6 elders were a little worried. "Stop talking. Hurry up and find the white bone grass, then leave. Elder Chen, you lead the way," Tang Huaiji said. "Yes. Let me tell you a joke. I'm the author of this super devouring system. Can you give me a drumstick? Get lost. If you don't have money, then you don't have money. What author, idiot? I can use a manuscript in exchange." Chapter 440. Poison Dragon, yes. A5 Poison Sect Elder walked to the front. Previously, he was the one who personally laid down the poison formation. He was also the one who personally saw the white bone grass. Following his memories, they should be able to find the white bone grass. The group went straight into the forest. Not long after, Xian also came out of the second poison array. The poisonous fog in this type of plantation was thinner, so he had to be more careful. The 2 groups of people walked in the poisonous forest. During this time, Tang Huaiji and the others also saw many new poisonous creatures and plants. This made them even more convinced that there was definitely a powerful creature here. However, their goal was the white bone grass. As long as they found the white bone grass, they would immediately leave. As long as they obtained the remains of a royal heir level 8 powerhouse, who would care about this plantation? The leader, Elder Chen, searched for 5 minutes before he finally found the white bone grass. The leaves of the white bone grass were the same shape as human bones. They were white, and there were 8 of them in total. When Gu Qi saw the white bone grass, his eyes lit up. 8 stalks of white bone grass growing from the same root. As expected, this is the place where the senior from the Baigu group died. Gu Qi murmured. At this time, Tang Huaiji suddenly pointed ahead and said, "Look over there, there's a cave." The poison here was very thin, and they could barely see things a few hundred meters away. Everyone followed Tang Huaiji's finger and found a large cave. This was a canyon, so it wasn't strange for caves to appear. However, everyone discovered that there was a huge claw mark at the edge of the cave. Sure enough, there's a big guy. Everyone, keep your voices down. Don't make too much noise. Tang Huaiji whispered. Understood. The others nodded in agreement. They still didn't know what this big guy was, nor did they know how strong its realm was. If it was only at the 5th level of the royal qi, it would be fine, but if it was at the 6th level of the royal qi, then it would be troublesome. For those of us who cultivate death-type techniques, it's extremely easy for our corpses to mutate after we die. There should be a strong deathly aura under those 8 stalks of white bone grass. I need to absorb this deathly aura before I can dig out the corpses, Gu Qi said as he took out 3 hollow bones that were 4 to 5 meters long. Then, he personally carried the 3 bones to the white bone grass and stabbed them into the ground in a triangular formation. The bones were only half a person's height above the ground. Then, he began to form hand seals and set up a spirit formation. This was a method of slowly releasing the death qi underground. If the death qi underground was not released, there would definitely be a death qi explosion. It didn't matter if the explosion killed him, but it would be a tragedy if the universe ring and his corpse were destroyed. When Gu Qi finished setting up the formation, the 3 long bones began to emit white smoke. If the corpse of a royal qi level 8 expert were to explode with death energy, how powerful would it be? An elder could not help but ask. The death energy explosion of a royal heir level 8, if we were nearby, we would definitely be blown up into nothingness. This plantation, along with the 2 poison arrays outside, would also be completely destroyed. Bone 7 replied. Everyone couldn't help but shudder. How could this explosion of death qi be so powerful? However, when they thought about how long this expert had been dead, they calmed down. This expert from the Baigu group had been dead for many years. Only a corpse that had been dead for so long could accumulate so much death qi. The death qi spiraled up. After about 2 minutes, Gu Qi put away the 3 long bones. Don't move. I'll dig. Gu Qi ordered the white bone puppet to dig with him. To him, the corpse of a royal qi level 8 expert was much more important than the universe ring. As long as he could obtain this corpse, he could refine another white bone puppet. Its strength might be reduced, but it would still be much stronger than him. Gu Qi dug very carefully, but it didn't take long for him to dig out a bunch of bones. Finger bones, hand bones, sternum, and ribs were dug out one by one. Gu Qi calculated silently in his heart. However, after digging for a long time, he still couldn't find an interspatial ring, which made him very surprised. That's strange. Even the hand bones are out. Where is the universe ring? Tang Huaiji asked in surprise. Could it be that the universe ring has been taken away long ago? An elder murmured. If that was the case, it was too much of a scam. They risked their lives to come here. Were they going to return empty-handed? Gu Qi didn't believe it either. Although he thought the corpse was more important, if he could get the universe ring, he wouldn't lack cultivation resources at royal qi level 7 or even level 8. He didn't believe it and dug for a while, but still couldn't find the universe ring. At this time, even the skull of the corpse had been dug out. Damn it! It has been taken away long ago. Gu Qi couldn't help cursing. Tang Huaiji and the remaining 6 elders were helpless. They also rushed forward and began to dig crazily. With so many people working together, it was inevitable that they would make some noise. At this time, at a place 1,000 meters away from them. Is that the place where the royal qi level 8 expert died? Haven't the corpse been dug out? Is there no universe ring? With his strong perception, Yi Xian could sense the movements of these people. Previously, he was still thinking that if he found the interspatial ring, these people might have internal strife and then fight each other. At that time, he would be able to take advantage of the chaos. But now, without the cosmos ring, his fantasy was ruined. However, at this time, boom! Suddenly, a loud noise fell into everyone's ears. Tang Huaiji and the others looked up at the cave in the distance and found a huge black shadow slowly walking out. Oh no, stop! Tang Huaiji hurriedly said. Everyone stopped what they were doing and turned to look. Although they were digging together, the sound couldn't be heard so far away. This big guy must have come out by itself. Although the poisonous substance here was thin, they could only see a huge figure. Roar! This big guy stood at the entrance of the cave and roared. Then it spread its wings and flew up. It was a flying dragon. "Oh no, it's flying toward us!" Tang Huaiji shouted in a low voice. Only then did they see the appearance of this flying dragon. This was not an ordinary flying dragon, but a poisonous dragon. This poisonous dragon had a layer of black scales on its skin, which was constantly emitting clouds of poisonous gas. Its wash basin-sized eyes stared and fell on Tang Huaiji and the others. Although warriors could hide their breath, some creatures' perception was not weak. Tang Huaiji and Gu Qi were both royal qi level 6. The moment the poisonous dragon came out of the cave, they were discovered. It's just a poisonous dragon of royal qi level 6. Kill. Chapter 441. Translator, Nyoibo Studio Editor. Nyoibo Studio. The final battle. Although it was Tang Huaiji's first time seeing a flying dragon, he reckoned that the poison dragon was not much stronger than it. Hence, he attacked without hesitation. It was the same for Gu Qi and the white bone battle puppet. As long as they killed the poison dragon, they could dig up the entire area. Who knew? The interspatial ring might have fallen somewhere else. However, when their attacks landed on the poison dragon's body, they were completely ineffective. How is this possible? Our vital energy was weakened by more than half by the poisonous gas. My attacks can't even break through its scales? An elder exclaimed. He was in the realm of 560 dragons. If he used his martial arts, he could kill a level 6 sacred beast of the Imperial Qi realm. He was not the only one. The other 5 elders were the same. Furthermore, even Tang Huaiji, who was in the realm of 620 dragons, could not break through the poison dragon's scales. The poison dragon flew above the 6 of them. Then, it opened its mouth and spat out a mouthful of green venom. An elder's shoulder was accidentally touched by a few drops of venom. His entire shoulder was melted. If he had been hit by the entire pool of venom, his entire body would have melted into a pool of blood. What a strong venom. Be careful. Tang Huaiji reminded them again. The flying dragon flew in the sky and kept spitting venom. Hence, Gu Qi's white bone battle puppet was completely useless. Furthermore, the group of people below could only use long-range attacks. However, none of them could break through the poison dragon's scales, including Gu Qi. Damn it! Gu Qi cursed angrily. He took out a bone sword from his interspatial ring and attacked again. Gotcha! A crisp sound rang in everyone's ears. The poison dragon finally broke through the poison dragon's scales. However, this was merely breaking through the poison dragon's scales. The poison dragon was also a little surprised. However, it only glanced at Gu Qi with its noble head before continuing to attack the elders. It also understood that it had to pick the weakest persimmon. Its venom was very large. The elders had a hard time dodging it. After all, they had to be careful not to step on any corrosive poisonous grass or flowers. This battle seemed to be evenly matched. However, as time went on, the poison dragon was gaining the upper hand. That was because the venom it spat out had already melted the poisonous flowers and plants and seeped into the soil. An elder accidentally stepped on it, and his entire foot melted. Then he fell on top of it and died miserably. Only then did Tang Huaiji realize that they were no match for this poison dragon. They had to retreat. Let's go! Tang Huaiji shouted. At that moment, he and Gu Qi turned around and left. The remaining 5 elders did the same. Seeing this, the poison dragon roared at the sky and chased after him. If this was only a wyvern, the 6 of them would have been able to kill it. Unfortunately, this was a poison dragon, which was much stronger than ordinary wyverns. Moreover, this poison dragon's realm was higher than all of them, so the 5 elders couldn't escape and were dissolved by the poison. Only Gu Qi and Tang Huaiji managed to leave. The poison dragon was too lazy to chase after them and returned to the plantation. At this time, there was only one human left in this plantation. That was Xianxia, who had been hiding and holding his breath. When the poison dragon was chasing after Tang Huaiji and Gu Qi, he happened to take away the 6 elders' interspatial rings. The interspatial rings were made of the same material as mid-level heaven artifacts, so the poison dragon could still melt them. At the same time, Xianxia tested the poison himself. Sure enough, his hand was melted once. However, the second time, his skin had developed a resistance to the poison. The poison no longer had any effect on him. The 6 interspatial rings allowed Yi Xian's realm to break through from 430 dragons to 460 dragons. If he used Beast King Rampage now, he could soar to 600 dragons of power. At this time, he already had the strength to fight with Gu Qi and the other 2 rank 6 Imperial Qi cultivators. While the poison dragon was returning to its nest, Yi Xian also left this plantation. This time he had gained a lot. At this time, he left the plantation to find if Gu Qi and Tang Huaiji were still there. Gu Qi and Tang Huaiji, who had been chased away by the poison dragon, also hid far away. Fortunately, the poison dragon did not chase after them, otherwise, they would have run separately. Big brother, did you really not find the interspatial ring? Now that only Tang Huaiji and Gu Qi were left, Tang Huaiji directly called the latter big brother. I really didn't. However, the corpses of the seniors of the Baigu group are all here. Just give me some time and I will refine them into a white bone battle puppet. Then we can kill that poison dragon. Gu Qi glanced at the white bone battle puppet beside him. This white bone battle puppet had been with him for more than 10 years. It had only recently been refined to rank 6 Imperial Qi, and had spent a lot of treasures to improve the strength of its bones. Now it was time to change. There are still 6 interspatial rings. Tang Huaiji reminded. It did not matter that the 6 elders were dead, but the people they had killed before had been distributed. The 6 interspatial rings added up to a lot of things, and he was a little reluctant to part with them. Don't worry. Wait until I refine this new white bone battle puppet, then we will kill our way in, Gu Qi said with a grin. But that kid might still be alive. Tang Huaiji thought of Yi Xian, the unknown factor who could kill the 100 poison sect sub-leader right in front of him. Humph, that kid must have spread the news that I am here. Since the poison dragon has retreated, let's wait outside. Gu Qi was also very resentful of Yi Xian, so he immediately went back the way he came. Although they did not know why Yi Xian was able to do whatever he wanted in there, it was meaningless. Their goal was the interspatial rings. Gu Qi and Tang Huaiji arrived outside the poison array again. Gu Qi looked at the corpses on the ground and could not help but say, "This kid is really ruthless. He even killed his own fellow disciples." The fellow disciples he was referring to were the 100 poison sect sub-disciples and elders who had defected to the 5 poison sect. Of course, from the beginning, Tang Huaiji and his brother did not want to share the loot with others. They wanted to keep it all to themselves. Tang Huaiji hesitated for a long time because he had built the 5 poison sect with great difficulty. However, just as they walked to the entrance of the poison array, they suddenly heard a commotion coming from inside the poison array. Footsteps, it's that kid. The 2 of them immediately reacted. A total of 13 people entered the poison array, including the white bone battle puppet. If they excluded Gu Qi and Tang Huaiji, there were only 11 people left. Among these 11 people, the 100 poison sect sub-leader was the first to die, followed by the 4 elders, and finally the 6 elders who were sprayed to death by the poison dragon. Although the 100 poison sect sub-leader did not die in front of them, they guessed that he was dead too. Chapter 442. 1 against 3. Sure enough, it was as they had expected. When they saw the figure slowly walking out of the poison array, they couldn't help but be moved. This brat was truly capable of shuttling between the 2 poison arrays. Good boy, you actually dare to come out from here? Tang Huaiji said with some surprise. Ha ha. Yi Xian grinned. He was also a little surprised. He didn't think that these 2 people would choose to return here to guard him instead of continuing to flee. Those Chen Kuan rings are all on you? Tang Huaiji didn't give Yi Xian a chance to speak and asked directly. Not a single one. Yi Xian nodded and asked in return, did you kill the sect leader of the 100 poison sect, Fengshan? No, I sent people to escort him back to the 5 poison sect. Why, you still want to save him? Tang Huaiji narrowed his eyes. You don't need to worry about that. I'm just curious. Did you get that senior's Chen Kuan ring? Yi Xian asked again. Tang Huaiji revealed a cold smile. Did you think I would tell you? Then you didn't. Otherwise you would have already fought. Yi Xian guessed. Tang Huaiji and Gu Qi looked at each other. It seemed that Yi Xian wasn't stupid. He was much smarter than the 5 poison sect elders. At this time, Gu Qi suddenly said, Kid, You're quite talented. Are you interested in joining our Baigu group? Haha, you want my martial art that can suddenly increase the strength of 100 dragons, right? Yi Xian smiled. That's right. Since you've already learned it, isn't it natural to hand it over to Master? As long as you're willing to hand it over, I'll give Little White to you after I've successfully refined that white bone battle puppet. Gu Qi said as he glanced at the level 6 white bone battle puppet beside him. Martial arts could be taught, but Beast King's rampage wasn't a martial art. Yi Xian couldn't teach it even if he wanted to. Moreover, these two were ruthless and had actually massacred the 100 Poisons sect. Even if Yi Xian didn't avenge Feng Yaqing, he still had to consider his own strength. I'm very interested in the method of controlling white bones, Yi Xian said. So you agree? Gu Qi's eyes brightened. Greed and murderous intent flashed across his eyes. Let him accept Yi Xian as his disciple? What a joke. He wanted to get Beast King berserk first before killing Yi Xian. The reason why the two of them hadn't made a move yet was because they didn't know if Yi Xian had the Beast King Rampage secret manual in his yin and yang ring. Therefore, Yi Xian could not be killed yet. However, Yi Xian was not that stupid. No, I guess you want to kill me after obtaining this martial art, right? Yi Xian said as he took out the Bahuang sword. He had said enough nonsense and it was time to start fighting. Humph, a guy who doesn't know what's good for him. Then I'll capture you first and interrogate you. Gu Qi snorted coldly and took out the bone sword. Tang Huaizhi did the same. That day, Yi Xian was able to escape from under their noses. They didn't dare to be careless when he passed through the poison array at will. The battle prowess of the three great Imperial Qi Tier 6 surrounded Yi Xian in the middle. Yi Xian held the Bahuang sword and watched coldly. He had already ranked the strength of the three in his mind. The weakest was of course the white bone puppet, followed by Tang Huaizhi. Gu Qi was stronger than Tang Huaizhi, and the bone sword in his hand was better than Tang Huaizhi's, so he was the strongest. In this situation, Yi Xian only had one way to fight, and that was to kill the white bone puppet first and quickly reduce the opponent's combat strength. The cold wind blew, but the four figures didn't move. At this time, Tang Huaizhi and Gu Qi looked at each other and attacked at the same time. But when they looked at each other, Yi Xian also used Beast King Rampage. Bam! Yi Xian's strength instantly increased to 600 dragons. In terms of realm, although he was weaker than Tang Huaizhi and Gu Qi by more than 20 dragons, he still had agility advancement. His speed had already surpassed 700 dragons. So fast! Tang Huaizhi and Gu Qi were stunned, because Yi Xian's speed was much faster than when he killed the 100 Poison Sect subsect leader in the poison array. Yi Xian's main target was the white bone puppet. Gu Qi knew that the white bone puppet was no match for Yi Xian, so he hurriedly controlled the white bone puppet to run in his direction. However, Yi Xian intercepted the white bone puppet midway. Underworld sword style, underworld burial. Yi Xian directly used his ultimate move on the white bone puppet. The white bone puppet wasn't an ordinary skeleton. Its joints were connected by a silver substance, so as long as this joint was destroyed, the white bone puppet would be crippled. Underworld burial sent out waves of qi to attack the white bone puppet. The white bone puppet reacted slower and was swept up in an instant. Kacha! Kacha! In an instant, the white bone puppet's sword-wielding arm fell to the ground. The enemy's combat strength was instantly weakened. Damn it! Gu Qi cursed. He didn't expect Yi Xian's realm to rise so quickly. He was almost catching up to them. Underworld sword style, underworld burial. Yi Xian slashed out once again. This time, he crippled the white bone battle puppet's left leg. Now the white bone puppet posed no threat to Yi Xian at all. 3 against 1 instantly became 2 against 1. Die, kid! Gu Qihua was furious. He had spent a lot of materials and time on this white bone puppet. Previously, when chasing Yi Xian, the white bone puppet had stepped on poisonous powder, which corroded its feet and reduced its movement speed. Now, the joints of its arms and legs were destroyed, so he had to spend a lot of materials to repair it. Yi Xian's expression darkened as he formed the Dragon Slayer sword. Facing a pincer attack from 2 people, he had to put some distance between them. The Dragon Slayer sword was more than 2 meters long, so the distance was just right. Clang! 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 Although there were 2 opponents, Yi Xian's speed was astonishing, so he could handle them. The 3 people attacked quickly, but Yi Xian was even faster. He pushed his bloodline to the limit, and used the underworld sword style and silver feather movement style to the peak. However, it would take some time to kill two 6th level Qi-controlling realm masters like this. At this moment, Yi Xian's heart skipped a beat. What? What did you say? You want me to cut off the white bone puppet's neck? Then you can participate in the battle? Yi Xian was a little surprised. This was the message that Wei Zhentian sent him. Okay, I'll trust you this time. He didn't care about anything else. He instantly increased his speed to the peak and put some distance between himself and the two people. Then, he suddenly turned back. Underworld sword style. Sword descends to the underworld. A slash pierced through the air and instantly cut off the white bone puppet's head. Then, Wei Zhentian, who had been waiting in Yi Xian's storage space, suddenly appeared and rushed toward the white bone puppet. Chapter 443. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation Dragon Slaying. What the hell is that? Gu Qi and Tang Huaiji were both stunned. The white bone puppet was no longer a threat. The two of them didn't understand why Yi Xian would take the time to destroy the white bone puppet, nor do they understand what that green thing was. Gu Qi was even more surprised because he was the one who made the skeletal war puppet. Only he knew that the skeletal war puppet's neck was its weakness. Bam! Wei Zhentian turned into a pile of mud and landed on the skeletal war puppet. Then, it disappeared bit by bit and seeped into the bones. The next moment, the white bone puppet fighter stood up again. What? Gu Qi's eyes widened in disbelief. He saw with his own eyes that the skeletal war puppet's arms and legs were destroyed and its head was cut off. But now, it was back to normal. No, it was not back to normal. There was a puddle of silver liquid on the ground. Wei Zhentian had removed the connection points and used its own body to reassemble the skeletal war puppet. That's impossible! Gu Qi exclaimed. Even Yi Xian did not expect this. He glanced at Wei Zhentian's interface and saw that it had reached level 6 of the Royal Air Realm, 605 dragons. Wei Zhentian originally had 300 dragons. Now that it had merged with the skeletal war puppet, it had increased to 605 dragons. Good. You've really given me a surprise. A strange light flashed through Yi Xian's eyes. Clang, clang, clang. The white bone battle puppet instantly switched sides to Yi Xian's side and joined the battle with its sword in hand. It, who was comparable to a rank 6 Imperial Qi cultivator, joined forces with Yi Xian and instantly suppressed Gu Qi and Tang Huaiji to the point of retreating step by step. It's time for the two of you to die. Yi Xian's morale was high because the skeletal war puppet was holding Tang Huaiji back. His opponent was Tang Huaiji. Damn it! Tang Huaiji cursed in his heart. They were originally neck and neck with Yi Xian, but with the addition of a level 6 skeletal war puppet, the situation was reversed. Swish! A cold light flashed, and a large chunk of flesh was cut off from Tang Huaiji's shoulder. Even his neck was grazed, and blood flowed out. Tang Huaiji knew that he was finished. He, the Grand Sect Master of the Five Poisons Sect, had actually been reduced to such a state by a brat. Truly a disgrace. Brat, I will die, but so will you. Suddenly, Tang Huaiji shouted. Then, his body began to turn green, as if he was constipated. When Yi Xian saw this, he sensed that something was wrong and quickly retreated. Bang! Tang Huaiji's body exploded and his flesh and blood splattered everywhere. At the same time, countless black powder spread out. Poison hidden in his body? Yi Xian was shocked. This Lord of the Ghost Tomb was indeed powerful. Tang Huaiji actually hid poison in his body. It was too terrifying. Fortunately, his speed was faster, and he was already 100 meters away, so the poison powder did not fall on him. Second brother. Gu Qi's eyes turned red when he saw his brother explode. They are actually brothers. When Yi Xian heard the shout, he was slightly surprised, but in the next moment, the corners of his mouth curled up slightly. Don't worry, you are going to accompany him soon. He quickly rushed out and shook off the poison powder with a few palm strikes. Then, he obtained Tang Huaiji's interspatial ring. Ding, the host has broken through to 480 dragon power. His realm instantly skyrocketed. Now, his speed had reached 750 dragon power. Whoosh! He did not delay at all and quickly rushed out. Gu Qi was already prepared to die, but he did not want to die just like that. He had to drag Yi Xian down with him. He took out a jade bottle and poured it into his mouth. This jade bottle was not liquid, but gas. Death Qi. Death Qi infusion, bone explosion. Gu Qi looked at Yi Xian, who was rushing over, and self-exploded like Tang Huaiji. Bang! Flesh and blood splattered, and bone powder was instantly blasted 100 meters away. Yi Xian's reaction was a little slower, and he was hit by the shockwave and flew out. He spat out a mouthful of blood. Fortunately, he had more than 600 dragon power at this time. Otherwise, he would have died under this attack. This is too scary. One has poison in his body, and the other has even exploded his bones. This ghoul tomb lord is really not to be underestimated. Yi Xian stood up with difficulty, and in the next moment, he quickly rushed over. Just now, Wei Zhentian was around Gu Qi. Little Tian? Yi Xian shouted. The white bone battle puppet was already in a mess, and its specially refined hard bones were also shattered. However, Wei Zhentian was hiding in the bones of the white bone war puppet, so it survived. It crawled out and reformed into a small bird that landed on Yi Xian's shoulder. Huff, huff, it's good that you are fine. Yi Xian glanced at the panel and found that Wei Zhentian had recovered 300 dragon power. It seemed that this had something to do with the skeleton it was residing in. Don't worry. This white bone war puppet is destroyed, but there is still a rank 8 Qi resisting warrior in his interspatial ring. When the time comes, I will learn how to refine a white bone war puppet, and I will refine a stronger one for you. Yi Xian comforted. Then, he walked over and picked up Gu Qi's interspatial ring. Gu Qi's bone sword was good, so he put it into his interspatial ring. He would give it to Wei Zhentian when the time came. He sank his consciousness into the interspatial ring. Instead of devouring everything, he first began to search. Found it. The White Bone Secret Manual. Yi Xian took out a white book and put it into the devouring system. After learning the White Bone Secret Manual, there was no proficiency, so he had learned it completely. Not only that, but he also found a good body movement martial art. Ding! The host has learned the Netherworld Ghost Steps. The current level is 10%. In the battle just now, Yinyu's body movement was much weaker than the Netherworld Ghost Steps, which led to a stalemate. If Yi Xian had learned the Netherworld Ghost Steps earlier, Tang Huaiji and Gu Qi would have been vulnerable in his eyes. Well, I've learned how to control the white bone puppet and how to refine it. But in Gu Qi's interspatial ring, there are not enough materials to refine a white bone puppet of Qi controlling level 8. It seems that I have to collect them. Wei Zhentian, you use this white bone puppet first. As Yi Xian spoke, he took out another white bone war puppet. This was Gu Qi's spare white bone war puppet, which only had 560 dragons. Yi Xian broke all the connection points on its body, then let Wei Zhentian merge with the white bone war puppet. Then, he started to devour the things that were not in the interspatial ring. Ding! The host has broken through to 500 dragon power. Gu Qi was a guardian of the Baigu group, and he had benefited the most from the massacre of the 100 Poison sect. He had directly helped Yi Xian break through to 500 dragon power. Now, the matter had come to an end, but Yi Xian was not in a hurry to go to the 5 Poison sect. Instead, he returned to the Poison Array. This time, he wanted to slay dragons. Chapter 444. Chapter 444 Chapter 444 Imperial Qi Level 7. Yi Xian spent an entire day dismantling the 100 Poison sect's poison array. Then, he spent another day dismantling the 5 Poison sect's 10,000 poison kill injection. At this time, the poison mist had already dispersed. Yi Xian continued to collect. Finally, the poison dragon found him. Roar! The poison dragon roared and drilled out of the cave. It spat out a mouthful of corrosive poison at Yi Xian in the distance. That day, Gu Qi and the other two couldn't beat you. Today, I want to see what you're capable of. Yi Xian took out the Bahuang sword and rushed forward with the dragon-slaying greatsword. This time, he did not even use Beast King Rampage. The dragon-slaying greatsword had an increase in damage to dragons, and the effect of Dragon's Judgment was even more obvious. Coupled with the Beast King bloodline, it was not difficult for him to kill this poison dragon. But before that, Yi Xian still used this poison dragon to improve his Netherworld Ghost Steps. Ding! Netherworld Ghost Steps proficiency increased. Current proficiency is 40%. Ding! Netherworld Ghost Steps proficiency increased. Current proficiency is 50%. Ding! Netherworld Ghost Steps proficiency increased. Current proficiency is 60%. Ding! Netherworld Ghost Steps proficiency increased. Current proficiency is 70%. Xian trained with this poison dragon for more than 10 minutes before he raised the Netherworld Ghost Steps to 70%. At this time, the Netherworld Ghost Steps was almost catching up to the speed of Silver Feather's movement technique at 100%. It's about time I'll kill you. Xian's eyes flashed, and his speed instantly exploded. His feet flew in the air, and he swept to the side of the poison dragon. Dragon-slaying greatsword. Slash. Crack. This sword easily sank into the poison dragon's flesh. The poison dragon roared at the sky in pain. It turned around and swept out its claw, but it was easily dodged by Xian. Crack. 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 The poison dragon was beaten by Xian until it could not fight back. In less than 3 seconds, its head was cut off by Dragon's judgment. Plop. This poison dragon's corpse fell to the ground and smashed out a huge crater. The Baigu group, in addition to refining human bones, can also use other bones. This poisonous dragon of the Royal Qi 6th level is a good choice. Xian thought to himself. Although he had learned how to make a white bone puppet, he hadn't tried it yet, so he had to find a few corpses to practice. He peeled off the poison dragon's bones and kept them in the devouring space. Then, he began to sweep through the plantation. This piece of land was affected by the poison dragon, and the value of natural treasures increased. This piece of land allowed Xian to increase his strength by 3 dragons, reaching 505 dragons. After that, Xian found a place and used the materials in Gu Qi's interspatial ring to refine the dragon bone. The poison dragon was originally at Royal Air level 6, but if Wei Zhentian was directly lodged in this dragon bone, he would probably only have the strength of Royal Air level 5, so he had to use a special method to upgrade the bone. Xian spent 3 days to finish refining the dragon bone. Wei Zhentian was so happy that he directly lodged in this dragon bone, and his combat strength also reached Royal Air level 6. Now Xian was only at Royal Air level 5, and if he was in a hurry, it would be good to use this Royal Air level 6 bone dragon. Together with a Royal Air level 5 bone puppet, even if he didn't make a move this time, the 5 poison sect would be finished. When he flew above the 5 poison sect on the bone dragon, the entire 5 poison sect was in an uproar. The 5 poison sect had sent out many elders before, but they were all killed by Xian. At this time, there were only a few Royal Air level 5 in the 5 poison sect. Xian was not the same as before, and he didn't need to use Beast King Rampage to get rid of them. Kid, you really have guts, crossing over to my 5 poison sect to cause trouble? A 5 poison sect elder with 590 dragons shouted. He actually knew that Tang Huaiji and Gu Qi had teamed up, but he couldn't understand why there was another person from the Baigu group here, and why he came to the 5 poison sect to cause trouble. Is the sect leader of the 100 poison sect, Feng Shan, a guest here? Xian sat on the bone dragon's back and asked loudly. Nonsense, why would sect leader Feng be at my 5 poison sect? The elder retorted. However, he was the one who escorted the heavily injured Feng Shan back that day. Since you don't hand it over, then don't blame me for being heartless. Xian's eyes flashed, and he directly swooped down. What guts attack together? That elder shouted loudly, and immediately several elders of the 5th level of the Imperial Qi realm rushed out. At this time, Xian had already landed in front of the 5 poison sect, and the poison array outside the 5 poison sect couldn't stop him at all. Kill! Tang Huaiji was learning from the 100 poison sect, and this time, Xian was using the 100 poison sect's banner to learn from the 5 poison sect. Right now, the 5 poison sect didn't even have a Royal Air level 6, and couldn't stop Xian and the bone dragon at all. In less than half a minute, the elders all died on the ground, no less than 10 of them. The 5 poison sect disciples were aghast, and hid far away, looking at the 2 killing gods in the distance. Unfortunately, these 5 poison sect elders only allowed Xian to increase his strength by 5 dragons, reaching 510 dragons. After these elders were all dead, Xian searched for Feng Shan's whereabouts alone. Finally, he found Feng Shan in a cave in the back mountain, with his tendons broken. It's you. When Feng Shan saw Xian, his expression was extremely aghast. Don't worry, your daughter is fine, I'll send you over now. Yi Xian removed the shackles on Feng Shan's body. At the same time, he could see that Feng Shan was poisoned, and there was no true qi in his body, but this was only temporary. Yi Xian couldn't be bothered to explain, and directly rescued him from the 5 poison sect, then sent him to the Flying Scorpion Pavilion. Coincidentally, he had also recovered his cultivation at this time. Then, Yi Xian put him down, then floated away. This Feng Shan was already so shocked that he was speechless. He knew that this time, he had received the help of an expert. But what he didn't understand was, if Yi Xian could control white bone, then why did he hide? Moreover, he dared to swagger and fly on the bone dragon. How audacious! However, Yi Xian was his savior, and he wouldn't be so ungrateful as to leave Yi Xian. At this time, it could be considered to have come to an end. Yi Xian used this incident to greatly increase his strength, and was the one who benefited the most. As for the rest, he couldn't be bothered to care. Now, he was moving in a direction, and the place he wanted to go was the 100 Poison Sect. Young Master Shi and Elder Wu had been personally killed by him, and now only Steward Qiu was left. Previously, he had made an oath, and now he naturally had to fulfill it. However, just as he was about to reach the 100 Poison Sect, whoosh! A blood-red figure suddenly swept over from the horizon. Yi Xian turned around in shock, and found that a youth in blood-red clothes was rapidly approaching. When Yi Xian saw the flying dragons flying around the blood-red clothed youth, he was completely stunned. There were a total of 73 flying dragons. Chapter 445. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation Dark Dragon Abyss, Holy *T. Rank 7 Imperial Qi. Yi Xian was shocked. He did not understand why a rank 7 Imperial Qi expert would appear here. Moreover, it was obvious that the young man in red was coming for him. Wei Zhentian, retreat at full speed. Yi Xian did not care about anything else and immediately ordered Wei Zhentian to flee at full speed. Fortunately, the young man in red was flying with air manipulation. His speed in the air was about the same as the skeletal dragon. You're the one who massacred the 100 Poison Sect? Suddenly, a cold voice entered Yi Xian's ears. He immediately realized that this person must be from the Blood Crow Divine Sect. He felt helpless. This was such a big place and this Blood Crow Divine Sect expert was able to find him. His luck was really terrible. What made him even more helpless was that this Blood Crow Divine Sect person had confused him with Gucci. Moreover, he could not explain it. This is a tragedy. Steward Qiu, I'll let you live a little longer. Yi Xian rode on the skeletal dragon and crossed the 100 Poison Sect, running for his life. This young man was a rank 7 Imperial Qi expert and came from a big sect. His strength must be extraordinary. However, when the young man found Yi Xian, he suddenly threw a blood crow out. It was obvious that he was notifying the others. If Yi Xian was caught by him, the consequences would be unimaginable. Therefore, he could only run for his life. As long as the young man in red ran out of true qi, he would be safe. Although Yi Xian wanted to kill the young man in red, he held it in. Running for his life was more important. The two of them flew for more than a day, one running and the other chasing. You can't escape. How dare the Baigu group people come to my Blood Crow Divine Sect's territory? I'll bring your head back. The young man in red was still chasing. He had provoked Yi Xian many times throughout the day. However, Yi Xian acted as if he did not hear anything and ran for his life. On the second day, the young man in red finally ran out of pills. He had no choice but to give chase. Damn it, I can't believe he got away. The young man gave up and turned around to leave. Yi Xian heaved a sigh of relief as he watched the red-clothed youth leave. The red-clothed youth was really patient. He had actually chased after him for 2 whole days. If not for the lack of supplies, he would have continued to chase after him. The battle between the 3 major powers in the ghost tomb was a bit too intense. However, Yi Xian did not let his guard down and continued to fly forward for half a day. He now had a map of this area. Coincidentally, there was a place called the Dark Dragon Abyss in front of him, which was extremely suitable for him to train in. The Dark Dragon Abyss was filled with dragons. It was said that the big boss of the Dark Dragon Abyss was an Earth Dragon King. Moreover, there were countless flying dragons and earth dragons. This place might be dangerous for others, but it was not a problem for Yi Xian. Yi Xian rode his bone dragon to the entrance of the dark dragon abyss. Refining a white bone battle puppet requires a large amount of bone powder, and the higher the realm, the better. The dragons in this dark dragon abyss are at least rank 5 Qi controlling realm, so I should be able to raise my realm, Yi Xian thought to himself. This was the plan he came up with when he was being chased by the blood-red clothed youth. To refine a white bone battle puppet, there were not many materials to be found in the Poison King Sect's 9 serenities, so he needed to enter the Corpse Master Sect's burial ground. However, before that, Yi Xian wanted to raise his strength first. Yi Xian landed on the ground, while Wei Zhenqian controlled his bone dragon to fly in the sky. To deal with dragons, the draconic slaying sword was naturally indispensable. Yi Xian estimated that the draconic slaying sword would increase the attack power of dragons by at least 50%. If he used Dragon's Judgment, he should be able to double the attack power. As soon as he entered, he encountered several earth dragons. These earth dragons looked very similar to flying dragons, except that they lacked a pair of wings. Their strength was enormous, and when they ran they could shake the earth. Draconic Slaying Sword. Dragon's Judgment. Yi Xian directly slashed at the 3 earth dragons, charging at him 3 times. Rip. The 3 earth dragons were cleaved into 2 halves. Instant kill. Dragon's Judgment is indeed powerful. In this place, even if I don't use Beast King Rampage, I can still instantly kill dragons below rank 6 Qi controlling realm. Yi Xian thought to himself. He rushed over to collect the 3 earth dragons' corpses and the sacred beast soul, then directly devoured them. Not bad. If I sweep through this dark dragon abyss, I wonder how much my strength will increase. Yi Xian thought to himself as he entered the dark dragon abyss. In the sky, Wei Zhenqian began to investigate again. This bone dragon's body was huge. Even if it flew high in the sky, it was still very conspicuous. What surprised Yi Xian was that when Wei Zhenqian returned, he brought back a large group of flying dragons. Damn, their aggro is so high. Yi Xian was shocked. It seemed that these flying dragons saw their own kind's bones being used, so they chased after Yi Xian and wanted to eat him alive. However, these flying dragons were all here to die. Kill! Yi Xian shouted and suddenly rushed forward. All rank 5 flying dragons were instantly killed by Dragon's Judgment. As for rank 6 flying dragons, they could dodge a few, but in the end, they couldn't escape death. A total of 60 flying dragons were all killed by Yi Xian in less than a minute. Ding! The host has broken through to 515 dragon force. After that, Yi Xian continued to enter the dark dragon abyss, his strength rapidly increasing. There were thousands of flying dragons in the dark dragon abyss. The deeper one went, the stronger they were. At this time, Yi Xian encountered almost all rank 6 flying dragons. After half a day of slaughter, Yi Xian's strength had increased to 530 dragons. He estimated that if he were to exterminate all the dragons in the dark dragon abyss, he would be able to increase his strength to at least 550 dragons. This was still a conservative estimate. He continued to go deeper, his strength increasing little by little. I don't know how strong the Earth Dragon King of this dark dragon abyss is, but according to the realm of these flying dragons, it should be at most rank 7. Yi Xian secretly estimated in his heart. He could still deal with a rank 7 flying dragon king, but he was afraid of a rank 8 flying dragon king. That would be a bit troublesome. However, since there were so many flying dragons here, he could just continue to increase his strength. At this time, roar! Suddenly, a deafening roar entered Yi Xian's ears. Following that, the earth began to shake, as if a huge monster was coming. Could it be that Earth Dragon King? Yi Xian paused and raised his guard. The earth shook, and Yi Xian's figure constantly rose and fell. But then, Yi Xian frowned. The huge monster coming towards him wasn't just 1, but 2. Roar! The roar was deafening. Yi Xian turned his head and saw 2 huge heads appear on the cliff. Earth dragons. Yi Xian jumped in fright. These 2 earth dragons' eyes were bigger than his entire body. It was very frightening. Rank 7 Flying Dragon King? Yi Xian frowned. It seemed that these 2 were the bosses of the Dark Dragon Abyss. Chapter 446. Chapter 446 Chapter 446 Blood Crow Divine Sect, bang! The 2 earth dragons were huge in size. They were like 2 meteorites that landed on the ground. The ground shook from the impact, and one of the stone walls collapsed from the impact. Come. Yi Xian did not waste time and directly used Beast King Rampage to rush forward. The scales of these two Earth Dragon Kings looked very hard, so he had no choice but to use Beast King Rampage. 530 dragons. With the buff from Beast King's Rampage, he would soon reach 700 dragons. Therefore these two Earth Dragons were living targets. 8 Desolation Dragon Slaying Sword. Dragon's Judgment. Yi Xian moved quickly and directly used Dragon's Judgment. After the increase of Sword Saint Bloodline, Beast King Bloodline, and 8 Desolation Dragon Slaying Sword, this attack could only break the scales of the two Earth Dragon Kings and barely hurt them. Impossible. These two Earth Dragon Kings are Royal Qi level 8? Yi Xian instantly reacted. At this time, the two Earth Dragon Kings also roared and launched an attack. Previously, Yi Xian miscalculated and judged the two Earth Dragon Kings to be Royal Qi level 7 Earth Dragon Kings. However, this did not matter. The corpse of a Royal Qi level 8 sacred beast was 100 times more precious than a Royal Qi level 7 Earth Dragon King. Moreover, these two Earth Dragon Kings were huge. Other than their claws and tails, their attack methods were still not as fast as Yi Xian. Dragon's Judgment. Dragon's Judgment. Dragon's Judgment. Yi Xian did not hesitate to use a large amount of true qi, but because the two Earth Dragon Kings were strong, the attack could only hit a little, but it was enough to break their defense. Yi Xian used dozens of times in a row and beat one Earth Dragon King until it was covered in blood. However, at this time, the true qi in his body was not enough. Although the recovery speed of the Sacred Tree of Life bloodline was strong, it could not withstand such consumption and needed to rest for a while. At this time, Yi Xian held 8 Desolation Dragon Slaying Sword and attacked. If he only used 8 Desolation Dragon Slaying Sword to attack, the effect would naturally not be as good as Dragon's Judgment. However, Yi Xian was faster, and 8 Desolation Dragon Slaying Sword could also use Underworld Sword technique, so the damage caused was not lower than Dragon's Judgment. These two Earth Dragon Kings were also helpless. Encountering someone with fast speed, they could only take a beating. In less than 2 seconds, one of the Earth Dragons had its hind leg chopped off by Yi Xian and collapsed to the ground. Next, Yi Xian attacked its neck. The other Earth Dragon King chased after Yi Xian and madly attacked him, but it was unable to catch Yi Xian. My Xianxia is almost fully recovered. Dragon's Judgment. Swish. 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 This time, his aim was very accurate. In addition, this Earth Dragon King's speed was greatly reduced, so all of his dragon's rulings hit. An enormous head was forcefully chopped off like a collapsing stone statue. Then, it fell to the ground, stirring up endless smoke and dust. When the other Earth Dragon King saw that its mate was killed, it immediately went crazy. However, it was still not a threat to Yi Xian. After Yi Xian recovered his Zhen Qi, he would kill it. 2 Imperial Qi level 8 Earth Dragon Kings fell just like that. 2 Imperial Qi level 8 Dragon Bones. Although it can't compare to the human bones obtained by Gu Qi, it's still very good. Yi Xian put away the two corpses with satisfaction. The refinement of the white bone battle puppet was based on volume. The larger the bone, the more materials it would consume. Therefore, Yi Xian was prepared to exchange these two dragon bones for materials after entering the burial grounds. Of course, he could also directly devour them, which could also increase his strength by a lot. Now that the two Earth Dragon Kings were killed by Yi Xian, he could be considered to be no threat in this dark dragon abyss. Therefore, he decided to continue sweeping the Earth Dragons and Wyverns. However, just as he turned around, he saw 3 blood-colored figures suddenly sweeping over from the horizon. Blood Crow Divine Sect? They really are like ghosts that won't go away. They can even catch up like this. This time, Yi Xian was not prepared to hide. Because his realm had increased by a lot, it was enough to kill that Imperial Qi level 7 youth from before. Although there were 2 more people, Yi Xian was not afraid. It really is you. I've finally found you. The youth in blood-red clothes who chased Yi Xian that day stood in the air and looked coldly at Yi Xian. At this time, there were 2 people standing next to him. Their realms were also above 700 dragons. You guys really are like ghosts that won't go away. Yi Xian said coldly. Kid, how dare you behave so atrociously in my Blood Crow Divine Sect's territory? Dang! The youth in blood-red clothes said as he swooped down. This time, he was just passing by the Dark Dragon Abyss to kill some Earth Dragons. He did not expect to encounter Yi Xian. This time, he was not going to let him go. Good timing. Yi Xian shouted. Although the duration of Beast King Rampage had passed, if he could kill these 3 people, what harm would it do to use it again? Boom. His 530 dragon power soared again. He was only a few dragons away from 700 dragons. This youth in blood-red clothes might have a better movement technique than the Netherworld Ghost Steps, but Yi Xian had a 20% increase in movement speed. He was not afraid at all. In an instant, the 4 of them began to fight. The sound of weapons clashing was endless. Some of the earth dragons and flying dragons who were attracted by the fight earlier stopped to watch. These sacred beasts were not idiots. Yi Xian and the rest were based on them. Naturally, they could see that Yi Xian and the rest were much stronger than them. Blood Crow Rush. 3 clouds of blood-red true qi rushed toward Yi Xian, but they were all dispersed by Yi Xian. The 3 of them were using the same set of sword techniques, and their coordination was very good. The blood-red light flashed, and it gave them some pressure. However, Yi Xian was still able to deal with it easily. This kid is so strong. If that's the case, why did he run away that day? The youth in blood-red clothes thought to himself as he attacked. At this time, he was glad that he came with his 2 junior brothers. Otherwise, he would be in deep trouble. Pang! 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 The sound of true qi clashing was deafening, and it spread like thunder. Looking at the situation, the difference in strength between the 2 sides was not big. If the youth in blood-red clothes and Yi Xian were to fight one-on-one, he would have been killed by the Bahuang sword. At this time, the youth in blood-red clothes suddenly shouted, "Junior brothers, blood crow killing formation." Yes. When the other 2 heard it, they immediately responded. Battle formation? Yi Xian was shocked. He did not expect the other party to know the formation that the 3 of them used. This was going to be troublesome. The 3 of them instantly got into formation, and their attacks were nearly twice as fierce. This time, Yi Xian was beaten into retreat. If I had met you guys just now, I would have been dead. But now, it's you guys who are going to die. Yi Xian thought to himself. Suddenly, he devoured the soul of a level 8 sacred beast. Ding! The host has broken through to 550 dragon power. In an instant, Yi Xian's aura skyrocketed. His realm had surpassed the other 2, and he was only second to the youth in blood-red clothes. What? Chapter 447. Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation entering the burial ground. Kill! Taking advantage of the other party's surprise, Yi Xian instantly exploded and attacked one of them. Underworld Sword Style, Underworld Burial. Streaks of aura hit that person, tearing his body apart in an instant. The battle formation was broken as a result. The Blood Crow Killing Formation was a battle formation that kept attacking and became stronger as the battle progressed. However, if one of them was injured and reacted slowly, the Blood Crow Killing Formation would have to be reorganized. However, it was not as simple as just being injured. Underworld Sword Style, Underworld Sword Descent. An eerie slash cut through the air and decapitated the Blood Crow Divine Sect's disciple. Oh no, retreat! The young man in red reacted quickly and shouted immediately. However, before he could finish his sentence, the other person had already reached the gates of hell. No, he had already stepped into it. Whoosh! Another head was sent flying. Now, the young man in red was the only one left. Yi Xian darted forward and collected the 2's universe rings before devouring them. Ding! The host has broken through to 570 dragon power. The Blood Crow Divine Sect was an organization that was on the same level as the Baigu group. The 2 young men were elites and were quite wealthy. When he saw the flying dragon around Yi Xian's body, the blood-red clothed youth also fell into despair. This F*King breakthrough again. What the F*CK was this? Damn you, the Blood Crow Divine Sect will not let you get away with this. The young man in red's eyes flickered as his body turned red. Just as Yi Xian was about to reach him, he exploded. Blood and flesh splattered everywhere. What? Yi Xian wanted to cry but had no tears. Why would all the sects in the ghost tomb self-destruct? Poison explosion, bone explosion, blood explosion. All of them were timed. The impact sent Yi Xian flying. Even his right arm was fractured from the impact. At the same time, a blood crow entered his body. F*CK your big cousin. Is it something like the soul-chasing mark again? Yi Xian cursed. Now, he had become a GPS transmitter. If there were other Blood Crow Divine Sect members around, they would definitely come for him. However, this was not a bad thing. If more people came, he would continue to kill. After the young man died, he left behind an interspatial ring. Yi Xian went over and took the interspatial ring. 575 dragons. This battle allowed Yi Xian to increase his strength by 25 dragons, which made him very satisfied. However, just as Yi Xian was secretly rejoicing, another figure appeared from the horizon. Sure enough, they are here. Yi Xian looked up and his expression changed. This time, the one who came was actually a level 8 Imperial Qi cultivator. Run! Without any hesitation, Yi Xian turned around and left. Although he had just killed 2 level 8 Imperial Qi Earth Dragon Kings, a normal sacred beast could not be compared to a human martial artist. Even the young man in red could kill those 2 Earth Dragon Kings. However, the one who came was a super powerhouse who was 100 dragons stronger than the young man in red. Yi Xian had to leave before the duration of Beast King Rampage ended. Kid, how dare you kill my Blood Crow Divine Sect member? Don't you dare run! The old man shouted angrily. Walk your grandma's leg! Yi Xian cursed. Fortunately, the Blood Crow Divine Sect member came a little later. Otherwise, Yi Xian would be dead meat. With a burst of speed that was comparable to a level 9 Imperial Qi cultivator, he pulled away from the Blood Crow Divine Sect member in an instant. However, this was just relying on Beast King Rampage. If time passed, Yi Xian would be slowly closed in and killed. Yi Xian wanted to cry but had no tears. It felt like he had just snatched a child's lollipop and then met an adult. He felt helpless. Kid, don't you dare run! The experts of the Blood Crow Divine Sect cursed from behind. Yi Xian relied on the Beast King's berserk to open up a distance of 10,000 meters. However, with the imprint in his body, the experts of the Blood Crow Divine Sect chased after him relentlessly. Beast King Rampage's duration is about to end. Damn it, one more time. Yi Xian painfully used Beast King Rampage again and ran for his life again. He could not go on like this. He would be in trouble when Beast King Rampage could no longer be used. However, he already had a plan in mind. The Dark Dragon Abyss was located at the border of the Abysmal Land. The burial ground was just a short distance away. The sects in the 2 territories were hostile to each other. Therefore, Yi Xian wanted to enter the burial ground. Perhaps the Blood Crow Divine Sect member would back off. I'm finally here. When Beast King Rampage's duration was about to end, Yi Xian saw an obvious change in the environment. The Abysmal Land was darker while the burial ground was brighter, making it seem more sinister. Smack! When Yi Xian charged into the burial grounds, the large stone in his heart also fell. He turned around and saw that the Blood Crow Divine Sect member was stunned for a moment. Haha, chase me if you dare. Yi Xian laughed out loud. However, he did not expect the Blood Crow Divine Sect member to continue the chase. Kid, don't you dare run back to the burial ground. I'll be scared off. The Blood Crow Divine Sect member shouted. Yi Xian's face was gloomy. You won't die if you don't ask for it, he thought. Both of them went deeper into the burial ground. Just when Yi Xian was about to use Beast King Rampage for the 3rd time, he suddenly saw a few silhouettes passing by in the sky. At the same time, the silhouettes also saw Yi Xian and the Blood Crow Divine Sect member behind Yi Xian. It's the Blood Crow Divine Sect. How dare they enter the burial ground? They must have a death wish. Junior brothers, kill them. A long-haired man shouted and immediately turned around and rushed toward Yi Xian's direction. Seeing that, Yi Xian quickly landed on the ground and summoned his white skeleton war puppet to show that he was not from the Abysmal Land. There are disciples from the Baigu group. The long-haired man immediately ignored Yi Xian and rushed toward the Blood Crow Divine Sect member. He had also summoned a white skeleton war puppet, and so did his 3 junior brothers. The 10 of them immediately launched an attack on the Blood Crow Divine Sect member. That was close. We've encountered people from the Baigu group and they're all at Royal Air Level 7. Yi Xian's eyes flashed. The long-haired man in the lead had 750 dragon power while the other 4 had around 730 dragon power. Their abilities were very powerful. Not only that, but their white skeleton war puppet was also at Royal Air Level 7, so they were considered as 10 Royal Air Level 7 elites. Just 10 Royal Air Level 8 elites and you want to fight me? Die, all of you! The Blood Crow Divine Sect member was in high spirits as he swung the long sword in his hand wildly. Immediately, a few true energies mixed with Blood Crows swept out. Blood Crow Rush. However, the 5 people from the Baigu group were not weak either. They used all their strength to destroy those slashes and surrounded them. Sky-ripping white bone claw. Heart-piercing bone spike. 9-section bone sealing lock. Chapter 448. Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation. Something was wrong. Yi Xian, who was not far away, was also stunned. It seemed that this burial ground was not to be underestimated. The battle between 10 Qi-wielding level 7 fighters and a level 8 fighter from the Blood Crow sect was intense. The Blood Crow sect fighter had underestimated the opponent's strength in the beginning, which led to him being pinned down. After all, it was difficult for 2 fists to fight against 4 hands. His face darkened. After a cold snort, he stomped his feet and leaped into the air. With that, there were 5 fewer enemies. However, he was too naive. Rock Battle Puppet. In an instant, the 5 skeletal battle puppets disappeared, and 9 rock skeletons appeared. What? The Blood Crow sect fighter's expression changed. He did not expect the opponent to have 5 rock skeletons. This was a tragedy. Damn it, you bastard. You killed my Blood Crow sect member. I won't let this go so easily. Baigu group. Just you wait. The Blood Crow Divine Sect's elite scolded before turning around and leaving. Senior brother, should we go after them? A Baigu group disciple turned around and asked. The long-haired disciple shook his head and said, forget it. The Blood Crow movement technique of the Blood Crow sect is better in the air. We won't be able to catch them. The 5 of them decided to give up the chase. Then, they landed on the ground. Yi Xian was very grateful to the 5 of them. At the same time, he also understood that they should be the super elites of the Baigu group because Guardian Gu Qi was only a level 6 fighter. Thank you for your help, senior brothers. Yi Xian quickly gave them a fist salute. At that moment, he needed to disguise himself as a Baigu group disciple. Junior brother, how did you get into trouble with the Blood Crow sect? The long-haired young man walked over. This junior brother, I was walking outside and bumped into a few disciples of the Blood Crow Divine Sect, so I killed them. After that, I bumped into him. Fortunately, a few senior brothers passed by. Otherwise, junior brother's life would be in danger. Yi Xian fabricated a lie. I see. The long-haired young man nodded. The next moment, he frowned and asked, "Oh right, why do I feel like you're a stranger? Who's your master?" Hearing that, Yi Xian's heart skipped a beat and said, "I'm Guardian Gu Qi's disciple." He did not know much about the Baigu group, and only knew Gu Qi, so he could only say so. Guardian Gu Qi? I see. The long-haired youth said with a smile, "I see that you're almost at the 6th level of the Royal Air Force. Are you interested in going to a place with us?" "Where?" Yi Xian immediately raised his guard. "Let's go to the one-line sky. It is said that there is a young heavenly dragon there. This time, we are going to kill it and obtain its bones," the long-haired youth said. Sky dragons were also dragons, but they were much stronger than wyverns. They had the strength of 1,000 wyverns. There were a total of 3 stages in the aura realm: aura control, aura refining, and aura energy. Just entering the first rank of Qi refining meant that one had the strength of a dragon. "Then I'll have to trouble you." Yi Xian nodded. It was good to see the world. Maybe there would be other benefits? Okay, we're only a few steps away from the one-line sky. Let's fly there. The long-haired young man took the lead and flew in a certain direction. As for Yi Xian, he also raised his flying dragon and followed. However, when Yi Xian arrived at the one-line sky, he regretted it. Because there were other people here, and there were many of them. "Senior, why are there so many people?" Yi Xian could not help but ask. Of course, although that sky dragon is only at level 8, it's very strong. "We're here to help Elder Tan," the long-haired young man said. "Elder Tan." Yi Xian was stunned. The long-haired young man was surprised and said, "Why? Elder Tan is your grandmaster. Don't you know that his white bone puppet was damaged half a year ago?" "What, grandmaster?" Yi Xian was shocked and his face turned pale. Why didn't you say so earlier? He claimed to be Gu Qi's disciple. If Elder Tan was his grandmaster, it meant that Gu Qi was Elder Tan's disciple. Oh no, what if I expose myself? I have to find an excuse to leave. Yi Xian thought. However, at that moment, a figure suddenly flew over from not far away. It was a level 8 Imperial Qi expert. Greetings, Elder Tan. The long-haired young man and the others hurriedly greeted him when they saw him. Elder Tan. Yi Xian rolled his eyes. Why was his luck so unpredictable? He actually bumped into Elder Tan. First, he killed 3 elites of the Blood Crow Divine Sect. Then, he was hunted down by the Blood Crow Divine Sect's experts and was saved by the long-haired young man. Now, he actually bumped into Elder Tan, his grandmaster. Yi Xian, what are you waiting for? Why don't you greet your grandmaster? The long-haired young man said. Grandmaster? This surprised Elder Tan. He asked, whose new disciple is he? Guardian Gu Qi. The long-haired young man said. Is it that kid? Humph. He doesn't even cultivate properly. Why is he so eager to recruit disciples? Elder Tan snorted. Hearing this, Yi Xian breathed a sigh of relief. It seemed that Elder Tan had quite a number of disciples. At the very least, he did not know all of them. All right, Fu Shihao, come with me. Elder Tan could not be bothered with Yi Xian. He directly called the long-haired young man away. Yi Xian finally felt relieved. Fortunately, Elder Tan did not suspect anything. However, he had to find an excuse to leave. Although he was not recognized, there were many experts here. It would be a tragedy if he was exposed. After the long-haired young man left, Yi Xian also gave a fist salute to the remaining 4. 4 senior brothers. I suddenly remembered that I have something to do. I'll take my leave first. After he finished, he turned around and was ready to leave. However, at that moment, stop. Suddenly, a disciple called out to him. Yi Xian stopped in his tracks and turned around with a smile. Senior brother, is there anything I can help you with? The person who called out to him was one of the 4. He was short, only about 1.6 meters tall. He walked to Yi Xian's side and circled him. Junior brother, why do I feel that something is wrong with you? Boom. This sentence was like a bolt from the blue that struck Yi Xian's head. As expected, he was suspected. Senior brother, what is wrong with junior brother? Yi Xian forced a smile. Everything is wrong. The short young man circled him again and glanced at the other 3. Tell me, what is Guardian Gu Qi's surname? Yi Xian's smile froze. He blurted out, Tang. He had heard Tang Huaiji call Gu Qi big brother, so Gu Qi's surname should be Tang as well. In fact, the short young man did not know the answer to this question. He was just looking at Yi Xian's reaction. Then the short young man asked again, all right, senior brother Fu Shihao is the top 3 in the inner disciples. Tell me, what is his rank? Yi Xian's face darkened again. How would he know? However, there was a 1/3 chance. He could guess. Chapter 449. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation. Not owing each other at this moment, Yi Xian was ready to retreat. If he made a wrong guess, he would leave quickly. Third, he made a random guess. As soon as he said that, the short young man and the other 3 people's faces darkened. Fu Shihao was ranked 4th among the disciples of the Baigu group. How dare you pretend to be a disciple of the Baigu group? You must have killed someone from the Baigu group and cultivated the White Bone secret manual, right? The short young man's eyes lit up. I've been exposed. Yi Xian narrowed his eyes. In fact, he really did not want to be exposed by these 4 people. After all, they had saved him once. However, there was nothing he could do. How dare you pretend to be a disciple of the Baigu group, kid? Tell me, who did you kill? Another disciple walked over and put a hand on Yi Xian's body. Yi Xian's face darkened. At this point, there was no turning back. Although he would have to bear the infamy of being ungrateful, there was nothing he could do in this world where the strong were respected. Beast King Rampage. 575 dragons instantly increased to 750 dragons. Rip! Rip! 2 crisp sounds were heard. The arms of the short young man and the other person were cut off. Yi Xian quickly took their interspatial rings and rushed to the other two people. These four people and Fu Shihao had saved their lives, so he showed mercy this time. However, the interspatial rings would not do. The short young man was dumbfounded when he saw his arm fly up. He could not understand how a person who had not even reached level 6 of the Imperial Qi could cut off the arm of a level 7 Imperial Qi warrior. When he turned around, he saw Yi Xian cut off the other two people's arms and quickly flew away. At this moment, Yi Xian's realm had reached 600 dragons. Level 7 of the Imperial Qi? The short young man was stunned again. When Yi Xian was rushing with him, he was only at level 5 of the Imperial Qi. Now, he had reached 780 dragons. Since when were wyverns able to hide? Senior brother, that Yi Xian is impersonating our Baigu group's disciple. The short young man reacted and shouted in Fu Shihao's direction. Fu Shihao, who was talking to Elder Tan, turned his head when he heard the shout. He was stunned. The arms of his 4 junior brothers had all been chopped off, and blood was gushing out from their wounds. Fu Shihao turned his head again and glanced at Yi Xian's back. He did not expect that Yi Xian was actually an impostor. He even concealed his strength and cut off the arms of his 4 junior brothers and stole their cosmos rings. Good lad. You dare to impersonate my grand disciple? Elder Tan also reacted. At this time, Fu Shihao suddenly intercepted him and said, Elder Tan, it was me who had eyes but failed to see, and didn't distinguish that it was an impostor. I'll go and kill him. No need. Elder Tan was also interested in Yi Xian's ability to conceal his strength, so he immediately rushed out. That young sky dragon was in the one-line sky anyway, so it would not run away. He would capture Yi Xian first. Fu Shihao also followed closely behind. This time it was his responsibility. Yi Xian, who was fleeing, glanced back and saw 2 figures running toward him. Fu Shihao with 750 dragons, Elder Tan with 810 dragons. Yi Xian narrowed his eyes. Although Elder Tan's white bone puppet was damaged, he definitely had a backup, and so did Fu Shihao. Fu Shihao saved my life, so I won't kill him. As for Elder Tan, he's Gucci's master. Kill him. Yi Xian immediately made up his mind, but he did not turn around immediately. Instead, he took out a level 7 white bone puppet from the devouring space. It belonged to the short young man. Wei Zhentian, stop one of them. Yi Xian summoned Wei Zhentian, who quickly removed the connection points of the white bone puppet and fused with it. Then, Yi Xian took out another white bone puppet, which was also at level 7. This white bone puppet was controlled by him. Now it was 3 against 4. Kill. What? Elder Tan and Fu Shihao were stunned. Even though they were members of the Baigu group, they had never seen someone controlling 2 white bone puppets at once. Wei Zhentian and the other white bone puppet charged toward Elder Tan. Their mission was to stop Elder Tan for a while. And Yi Xian's primary target was Fu Shihao. To be precise, it was Fu Shihao's interspatial ring. A mantis trying to stop a chariot. Get lost. Elder Tan slashed out with his sword with the strength of 810 dragons, directly splitting the white bone battle puppet controlled by Yi Xian into 2. However, Yi Xian was already in front of Fu Shihao. You saved my life, so I'll spare yours. Yi Xian swept out with his sword, chopping off Fu Shihao's wrist and taking away his universe ring. It all happened so quickly that Fu Shihao and his white bone puppet could not react in time. But they could not be blamed. After all, Yi Xian was cautious and did not retreat at full speed. Yi Xian only burst out with a speed of more than 900 dragons when his opponent caught up with him. Ding! The host has broken through to 605 dragons. Although it was only an increase of 5 dragons of strength, it was enough. Crack! At this time, Elder Tan also slashed Wei Zhentian in half. However, Wei Zhentian would not be killed by this slash. It immediately reformed into a small bird and left. Its mission had been completed. It had successfully stalled Elder Tan for a moment. Die, Elder Tan! Yi Xian flashed in front of Elder Tan like a ghost and slashed his sword with a sinister aura. Clang! Elder Tan was also considered an expert. He blocked this attack. Yi Xian slashed again and was blocked again. But when Yi Xian slashed a 3rd time, Elder Tan heard a gust of wind behind him. Then a sharp blade pierced his back. Who was it? He turned his head in horror and found a green-white bone puppet. Wei Zhentian. Go to hell. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Yi Xian quickly slashed his sword. Rip! Elder Tan's head flew and fell instantly. Although Wei Zhentian only had 300 over dragons, his attack could not hurt Elder Tan too much. However, he attracted Elder Tan's attention. Yi Xian had been coveting the interspatial ring of a level 8 qi-wielding powerhouse for a long time. Ding! The host has broken through to 620 dragons of strength. Plop! Elder Tan's corpse fell into Fu Shihao's eyes. You! Fu Shihao was so shocked that he could not speak. Yi Xian was even able to kill Elder Tan, so why was he chased by the people from the Blood Crow Divine sect? Could it be that this was a trap? You saved my life, so I'll spare yours. Now we don't owe each other anything. Yi Xian said coldly and put away Elder Tan's corpse. He then turned around and left. Chapter 450. Slaying the Sky Dragon. Originally, these people were here to help Elder Tan kill the young Sky Dragon. But now that Elder Tan was dead, what was there to kill? Soon, this group of disciples from the Baigu group rushed back to the sect to report the matter to the sect master. At the same time, they wanted to arrest Yi Xian. But what they didn't know was that Yi Xian didn't leave. A Sky Dragon's bones, huh? They should be better than the average level 8 Saint Beast, right? Yi Xian looked at the backs of the Baigu group disciples as they left and revealed a cold smile. After the Baigu group disciples left, Yi Xian entered the one-line sky alone. There was a huge cave in the depths of the one-line sky. Presumably, the Sky Dragon was in there. He continued to go in and was very careful. After a few minutes, he saw a slender giant dragon. Earth dragons and wyverns were very similar, but Sky Dragons and wyverns didn't have many similarities. Wyverns were big, but Sky Dragons were a bit like flood dragons, except that they had a pair of wings. This Sky Dragon was red in color, and its body seemed to be at least 100 meters long. It looked at Yi Xian, who was walking in, and snorted a few times. Sorry, I need a set of dragon bones. After Yi Xian finished speaking, he abruptly activated the Beast King's Berserk. 620 dragons instantly soared to over 800 dragons. Kill! In an instant, Yi Xian rushed in front of the Sky Dragon, and then fiercely slashed with Dragon's Judgment. Clang! The slash quickly landed on the scales of the Sky Dragon, but it was only barely able to crack the scales. What a strong defense! The difference between this Sky Dragon and the two Earth Dragon Kings is like heaven and earth. As expected of a powerful species. Yi Xian couldn't help but sigh. There were many unfairness in this world. At the same level, Sky Dragons were much stronger than wyverns. Roar! The red Sky Dragon roared and opened its bloody mouth to spit out a dragon breath at Yi Xian. Yi Xian quickly dodged, but the place where he had been standing had already been burned into a large crater. This was one of the Sky Dragon's attack methods, Dragon Breath. The Sky Dragon's defense is very strong. We have to kill it while the Beast King Berserk lasts. Yi Xian began to attack crazily. First, he used up all the true qi in his body. Then, he used the 8 Desolation Dragon Slaying Sword to slash. This Sky Dragon was indeed difficult to deal with. It was no wonder that the Baigu group had brought so many experts. If those people from the Baigu group were to fight against the Sky Dragon, they would most likely suffer casualties, and they might not even be able to kill it. However, Yi Xian relied on speed to make a living. This heavenly dragon was the same as those two Earth Dragon Kings. They couldn't catch him and could only let their scales slowly grind off before their heads were chopped off. After the Sky Dragon's head fell to the ground, Yi Xian's Beast King rampage ended. It's finally chopped off. I thought I would have to use the second Beast King rampage. Yi Xian breathed a sigh of relief. Next, he would have to dissect this Sky Dragon and take out the dragon bones. Ding! The host has broken through to 640 dragon power. When Yi Xian swallowed the dragon corpse and the sacred beast soul, he also heard the system's notification sound. Now, if he used Beast King Rampage again, his speed would probably reach level 1 Qi Refinement Realm. If he improved a little more, he would be invincible in the Qi Refinement Realm. At this time, Wei Zhentian couldn't help but jump out. Don't worry, I'll give you the Sky Dragon bones when I'm done refining them. Yi Xian said with a smile. This Sky Dragon's realm should be around 850 dragons. If he wanted to refine it, he would naturally need the best materials. When the time came, he might even be able to reach level 9 Qi refinement realm. Although he had obtained a lot of interspatial rings, he could only refine a level 8 Qi refinement realm at most. It was not enough to reach level 9 Qi refinement realm. So, next he would go to a place called the City of Bones. Then, he would sell the finished skeletal war puppets he obtained in exchange for refining materials. In the boneyard, the Baigu group was not the only one who could control and refine skeletal war puppets. It was just that the Baigu group was the only one in the vicinity, so Fu Shihao and the others naturally thought that Yi Xian was a member of the Baigu group. At this time, Yi Xian left the One-Line Sky. The City of Bones was the hub of several nearby Bones sects. Many of the sect's disciples would go there to purchase materials or finished skeletal war puppets. Yi Xian spent 2 days rushing to the City of Bones. Before he entered the City of Bones, he saw a huge beast skeleton at the city gate. It looked like a dinosaur in a museum. When this sacred beast was alive, it was the barbaric bull demon that Yi Xian saw before. According to others, this barbaric bull demon once killed its way into the City of Bones. With its strength of level 9 Qi refinement realm, it caused great destruction. In the end, the city lord of the City of Bones killed it and refined it. Then, he placed it here as a warning. Yi Xian took a closer look and found that this level 9 Qi refinement realm sacred beast skeleton was set up with many formations. No one could take it away even if they wanted to. After entering the city, Yi Xian also found a place to eat. After that, he went to the largest myriad bone market in the myriad bone city. There were all kinds of people here, and many people would set up stalls to sell their own refined white bone battle puppets. However, most people would refine them with human bones. After all, human beings were smaller than sacred beasts. Moreover, they had the same habits, so it was relatively easier to control them. "Hey, little brother, are you here to buy something or to sell something?" As soon as Yi Xian entered, a person came up to him.
"Yes, I'm here to buy,"
Yi Xian replied. "Then come to our shop. We buy corpses. Of course, if you have the corpses of powerful sacred beasts, we'll buy them too. But you have to be at least level 6 Qi refinement realm. We also have many finished skeletal war puppets. We even have 10-year and 100-year skeletons," said the man with a treacherous smile. 100-year skeletons were the skeletons of powerful warriors who had died 100 years ago. Such skeletons were better than those that had just died. The skeletal war puppets refined from such skeletons were stronger. "I have many finished skeletal war puppets," Yi Xian replied again. The man was stunned, then smiled and said, "I understand. Little brother, this way please." Generally, sects would have a group that specialized in refining skeletal war puppets. These skeletal war puppets were specially used. However, such sects usually sold them together. They would never be sold by one person. Therefore, Yi Xian obtained these skeletal war puppets by killing people. The man led Yi Xian into a shop on the side. This feeling was similar to when he went shopping in the Electronic City in his previous life. Then, the man led Yi Xian into a private room. There are 123 skeletal war puppets that have been refined. Among them, 33 are level 6 Qi refinement realm and 13 are level 7 Qi refinement realm. Yi Xian took out the useless skeletal war puppets. The man was shocked. There were even 13 skeletal war puppets of level 7 Qi refinement realm. It seemed that Yi Xian was not an ordinary person. Chapter 451. Translator. Henyi Translations Editor. Henyi Translations. The matter was exposed. The man was in this line of business, so he began to distinguish the quality of the white bone puppet fighters. However, when he saw a level 7 human-shaped puppet fighter, his body could not help but tremble. "Golden-threaded puppet fighter?" the man said in shock. He suddenly had an ominous premonition in his heart, because he knew the refiner with the golden-threaded lines on the surface of the skeleton. "Are these puppet fighters all from the Baigu group?" The man frowned, and his heart couldn't help but beat violently. Because his shop was one of the Baigu group's strongholds in the City of Bones. The white bone puppet fighters refined by the disciples and elders of the Baigu group would occasionally be sent here to be sold. At the same time, the shop also bought materials and sent them to the Baigu group. The refiner of this golden-threaded puppet fighter was an elder of the Baigu group, and then he gave it to one of his disciples, whose name was Fu Shihao. The man was a protector of the Baigu group. How could he not recognize this? Good boy, you killed my Baigu group's people, and you dare to come here with something. You're walking right into a trap. The man narrowed his eyes. Because his back was to Yixian, the latter didn't feel anything strange. He just thought that the man was checking the golden-threaded puppet fighter. Soon, the man checked them one by one. When he saw the other white-bone puppet fighters, he was even more surprised, because one of them was the puppet fighter of Elder Tan of the Baigu group. This person's strength is actually so powerful that even Elder Tan died at his hands? The man had his back facing Yixian as he swallowed a mouthful of saliva. He was only at the 6th level of Imperial Qi, so he naturally wasn't Yixian's match. After all, Elder Tan was at level 8 Qi realm. The sect leader and the elders are also in the City of Bones. I'll inform them. This boy is dead. The man immediately adjusted his mentality, then turned to Yixian and said with a smile, Your Excellency, I've seen all your white-bone puppet fighters. They're all upper grade. Do you want them, or do you want to exchange them for refining materials? Exchanging all of them for refining materials. Yixian replied. Right now, he had 3 corpses of Qi controlling Realm 8 in his Cosmos Ring, 2 human bones and 1 heavenly dragon bone, so he needed a lot of refining materials. Among them, the human bone dug out from the 9 Serenities was the best. After all, it had been dead for many years, and there was death Qi in its bones. When refined, it would be more powerful than others of the same level. Exchanging all of them for refining materials? All right, I've estimated the price of your skeleton puppets. The man quoted a price. Before entering Myriad Bones City, Yixian had learned about the price of these skeletal puppets from some people's interspatial rings, so he estimated the price of these skeletal puppets. However, the price that this man quoted shocked him, because it exceeded his expectations. It was almost 50% higher. Just now, he said that these white bone puppets were all upper grade. It seems that the Baigu group is very good at refining white bone puppets. Yixian didn't think much of it and immediately agreed. Then he made a list for the man. Most of the items on the list were materials for refining white bone puppets, and there were also a lot of ores for Wei Zhentian. Wei Zhentian only had 300 dragon power now. He was too weak and could easily die. Moreover, the higher his realm, the easier it would be to control and the stronger his combat power. All right, we have these things, but we don't have enough in our shop. We have to get them from other shops. Please wait a moment, sir. The man said. Okay. Yixian nodded and put away the white bone puppets. Then the man left quickly. At this moment, Yixian didn't doubt him. After the man left, Yixian waited alone in the private room. He waited for a while, but the man still didn't come back. However, the materials he needed were a little complicated, so it was reasonable that the man took his time. Yixian was a little helpless, so he decided to wait outside the shop and see the world. But just as he stepped out of the shop, he saw a group of people hurrying toward him, and that man was among them. Oh no! Yixian's face suddenly changed, because he saw that this group of people were wearing the same clothes. They were actually people from the Baigu group. Now, Yixian understood. It turned out that this shop was opened by the Baigu group, and that man obviously recognized those white bone puppets, so he went to inform them. There were many people from the Baigu group, and the leader had reached 880 dragon power. In addition, there were several experts of Royal Qi level 8 and dozens of Royal Qi level 7 experts. Yixian was a little shocked, and he secretly sighed that the Baigu group was so powerful that there were so many experts in their stronghold in the City of Bones. However, he didn't care at all, and just watched quietly. This group of people came aggressively, and the people around them immediately packed up and jumped away. In the blink of an eye, there were not many people on the street. They're people from the Baigu group. What's going on? What are they doing? My God, that's the leader of the Baigu group. He already has 880 dragon power, and he's very strong. He's actually in the City of Bones? Hey, that kid is their target. What's going on? Why are so many people alarmed? Did this kid kill an elite disciple of the Baigu group? The people around them flew into the sky and whispered to each other. Although there was a city lord in the City of Bones, there were 3 major forces in the City of Bones that no one dared to provoke, and the Baigu group was one of them. If they gossiped and were targeted by the Baigu group, they would really die without a complete corpse. In the burial ground, there was no such thing as the dead is the best. If one died in the burial ground, their corpses would generally be sold. The good ones would be refined into battle corpses, and the bad ones would be dissected and their bones taken out and refined into white bone puppets. The leader of the Baigu group led a group of people and rushed in front of Yi Xian. At this time, only the people of the Baigu group and Yi Xian were left on the street. The leader of the Baigu group looked at Yi Xian and said, "It's him." The man who received Yi Xian just now nodded and said, "Yes, it's him. He took out the golden thread puppet, and he even has Elder Tan's puppet." Elder Tan? When they heard this, the crowd who was watching the show in the air turned pale with fright. This kid actually killed an elder of the Baigu group? No, it should be said that this kid actually dared to kill an elder of the Baigu group? They had seen many geniuses, but at this time, Yi Xian's courage was even more shocking. "Good boy, you even dared to kill an elder of the Baigu group. Tell me your name." The leader of the Baigu group asked coldly. He had lived for so many years and had developed a cautious character, constantly reminding himself not to judge a book by its cover. Yi Xian gave him a very mysterious feeling. When he heard the leader of the Baigu group, Yi Xian just said lightly, "I don't talk to dead people." Boom. Chapter 452. Lord of 10,000 Bones Dead People. This brat actually dared to call the leader of the Baigu group, an expert with 880 dragon power, a dead person. Even if you want to die, you don't have to be so direct, right? However, there were still many people who wondered if Yi Xian had some sort of background. After all, in this region, not many people dared to kill a disciple of the Baigu group, let alone an elder. "Who are you? Why do you have the white bone puppet of an elder of the Baigu group?" The leader of the Baigu group couldn't help but ask. "If you want to fight, then fight. What's with all this nonsense?" Yi Xian was getting a little impatient. If it was in the past, he would definitely quibble and say that he obtained those things by chance. But now, he already possessed great strength, so why waste time?
Good boy, let me have a go at you.
An elder of the Baigu group didn't believe it. He left the team and rushed toward Yi Xian. Although there was a rule against fighting in the 10,000 Bone City, the Baigu group had some influence in the 10,000 Bone City, so small fights were not a problem. "Be careful," the leader of the Baigu group reminded him. Unexpectedly, before he could finish his words, the head of this elder with 820 dragon power flew into the air. Instant kill. So fast, even I couldn't see his speed clearly. How is this possible? Elder Zhang is 830 dragons, stronger than Elder Tan. That brat also has 830 dragons, no, 840 dragons. The people from the Baigu group were shocked. But at this moment, Yi Xian made his move. Since things had already come to this, they might as well go all the way and wipe out the Baigu group. This elder could be considered wealthy, allowing him to increase his strength by 10 dragons, reaching 650. Adding on the Beast King's rampage, he reached 840. Although he was slightly slower than the leader of the Baigu group, his speed was definitely not something these people could keep up with. "Kill!" the leader of the Baigu group shouted. Now that things had come to this, he could only fight. Immediately, all the people of the Baigu group took out their white bone puppet fighters. However, if the person controlling the white bone puppet fighters died, these white bone puppet fighters would just be decorations. Yi Xian activated Beast King Rampage and rushed into the crowd, slaughtering everyone. Yi Xian rushed into the crowd, and the first person he killed was the Baigu group's sect master. He only used one strike to kill the Baigu group's sect master, an expert with 880 dragon power. In less than 5 seconds, more than half of the Baigu group's team had been killed or injured. Screams of agony rang out continuously on this avenue. Blood splattered everywhere, and there were already more than 30 corpses. After the Baigu group members died, their interspatial rings were taken away by Yi Xian and devoured. Ding! Host has broken through to 660 dragon power. Ding! Host has broken through to 670 dragon power. Ding! Host has broken through to 680 dragon power. Now, Yi Xian did not deliberately hide his Beast King rampage. Anyway, with his strength, he could almost do whatever he wanted in this area. Just as the people of the Baigu group were about to be killed, a figure suddenly swept across the sky. This figure was so fast that it landed on the ground in an instant, and then attacked Yi Xian. Who is it? Yi Xian was a little surprised, but he did not think too much about it. He just swung his sword at the newcomer. Bang! This sword was blocked by the opponent. At the same time, Yi Xian also saw the person's face clearly. It was a middle-aged man with a square face. However, when Yi Xian saw the flying dragon flying around this person, he was also stunned. Sky Dragon. This middle-aged man actually had the Sky Dragon power, which meant that this middle-aged man had surpassed level 9 Qi refining and reached level 1 Qi refining. This Thousand Bones City actually has such an expert? Yi Xian was shocked and quickly retreated. This middle-aged man did not take advantage of the victory to chase after Yi Xian. He quietly looked at him. When the people in the sky saw this middle-aged man, they could not help but exclaim, "City Master?" This middle-aged man was the City Master of Thousand Bones City. Everyone was flabbergasted, because in their memories, the 10,000 Bones City Lord only had 950 dragon power. But now, he had actually reached one heavenly dragon. However, they could understand why. After all, the last time the City Master of Thousand Bones City fought was several years ago. It's the City Master of Thousand Bones City. This is troublesome. Yi Xian narrowed his eyes. Now he was fighting in Thousand Bones City, and Thousand Bones City was the City Master's territory. It would be strange if the City Master did not intervene when he fought in his territory. You don't know the rules of Thousand Bones City? The City Master of Thousand Bones City looked at Yi Xian. They want to kill me. Am I supposed to stretch my neck out for them to kill? Yi Xian replied coldly. The City Master of Thousand Bones City narrowed his eyes. Even so, you broke the rules I set. I can't just sit by and watch. As soon as he finished speaking, he attacked again. Yi Xian did not waste words. He would fight first and then talk later. Now, Yi Xian had 680 dragon power, and with the addition of Beast King's Rage, he was almost 900 dragon power. With the addition of his dexterity, he was faster than the City Master of Thousand Bones City. However, there was a huge gap between the Qi refining stage and the Qi controlling stage. Yi Xian's speed did not pose a threat to the City Master of Thousand Bones City. In fact, he was at a disadvantage. As expected of a first-stage Qi refining stage, the City Master of Thousand Bones City doesn't seem to want to kill me. Otherwise we would have to fight to the death. Yi Xian thought to himself. The two fought for 30 rounds, then separated. You are very strong. I have decided not to hold you responsible this time. The City Master of Thousand Bones City suddenly said something that shocked everyone. Not to hold him responsible? The surviving elders of the Baigu group looked at each other in confusion. Did the City Master of Thousand Bones City really say that? City Master, he killed our sect leader, one of the elders hurriedly said. But before he could finish, the City Master of Thousand Bones City punched through his chest and killed him instantly. Damn. Yi Xian raised his eyebrows. This middle-aged man was really something. He killed him without hesitation. Noisy. The City Master of Thousand Bones City said coldly. Now, Yi Xian finally understood why the City Master of Thousand Bones City did not continue the fight. This time, he had wiped out the Baigu group. Wouldn't that mean that the City of Thousand Bones City had one less power in the future? As for why the City Master of Thousand Bones City did not do it himself, it was because of his status. If the City Master of Thousand Bones City destroyed the Baigu group himself, the world would think that the City Master of Thousand Bones City was greedy. Who would come to Thousand Bones City then? However, it was different if Yi Xian did it. You really won't hold me responsible? Yi Xian narrowed his eyes. I won't. You can go. The City Master of Thousand Bones City nodded. If you won't hold me responsible, why do you want me to leave? I want to buy some refining materials. Yi Xian replied. The City Master of Thousand Bones City said again. Then you can go now. What do you want? What do you want? Tell me. Is that so? Chapter 453. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation. Up to no good intentions, the onlookers were also stunned. The two men who were fighting fiercely just a moment ago were now buying things on the spot. At the same time, they were extremely envious because the things Yi Xian took out were enough to establish a sect. The price is a little high. The City Lord of Myriad Bones must be up to something. Yi Xian's eyes flickered. After buying all the useless things, he left under the watchful eyes of the crowd. He left just like that? What's wrong with the City Lord? Why did he let him go? This person's background is definitely not simple. The City Lord must be afraid of the power behind him. Poor Baigu group. It's going to be destroyed by the other two sects. The onlookers muttered in low voices. Soon, Xian disappeared from everyone's sight. However, he did not leave the city. Instead, he found a nearby inn to stay. Now, he was going to start refining the heavenly dragon bone. Originally, he could have devoured the materials, but Wei Zhentian kept asking him to refine the heavenly dragon bone, so he had no choice but to do so. Fortunately, he had enough materials this time. After all, he had killed many powerhouses, including those with 880 dragon power. He also gave the body of the Baigu group's sect leader to the city lord of Myriad Bones. Before he left, he saw the surviving elders of the Baigu group looking like they were going to eat him alive. Xian spent 2 days refining the heavenly dragon bone. Xian only spent a day digging up the corpse of the level 8 chi-controlling warrior in the abyss. As for the other corpses, Xian took them all. Although the corpses were a little shocking, he really did take them. With these 2 white bone battle puppets, Xian's strength had increased by quite a bit. After all, these 2 white bone battle puppets were meticulously refined by him. After consuming a large amount of refining materials, they had both reached the 9th stage of the chi-resisting stage. It's time to leave. Xian stretched. He had been inside for 3 days, refining the heavenly dragon bone in pieces, so the others did not know what he was doing. He came out of the house and looked around. Sure enough, someone was spying on him, but he didn't know which side they were from. However, if anyone dared to target him, he wouldn't mind killing them again. Then, he left the Thousand Bones City. He flew in a random direction for a while, but didn't find anyone following him. Am I being paranoid? Are you just afraid that I'll cause trouble in the city? Xian thought about it for a moment and decided to ignore him. Since the other party was here, he was going back to the 9 Serenities to take revenge. However, his thinking was too simple. Half an hour after he left the 10,000 Bones City, a figure appeared in the sky. Xian turned to look. Sure enough, it was the city lord of 10,000 Bones. The lord of the 10,000 Bones City had used Xian's hands to destroy the Baigu group. He had let Xian leave in front of so many people, and now he was chasing after him. He probably wanted to kill him and steal his treasures. City lord of 10,000 Bones City, why are you looking for me? Xian said as he landed on the ground. After all, his realm was only 680 dragons. The ground was his home ground. You know what I'm going to do. The city lord of 10,000 Bones City looked down at Xian. If that's the case, why don't you make a move? Xian narrowed his eyes and took out 2 skeletal war puppets. Sky dragon bones? The city lord of 10,000 Bones City was surprised, but he was even more confused about why Xian took out 2 skeletal war puppets. Sky dragons were huge and harder to control than wyverns. Besides, there was already a humanoid skeletal war puppet. What was this one for? In the next moment, he saw a small green thing suddenly shoot out from Xian's body. It enlarged infinitely and attached itself to the heavenly dragon bone. The entire heavenly dragon bone seemed to be covered in a layer of green armor. What is this thing? The city lord of 10,000 Bones City saw the sky dragon bones fly up. He knew that it was not Xian controlling them, but that strange thing. However, he was just curious. He did not care at all. He was a first-level chi refinement realm cultivator with the strength of a sky dragon. He could destroy the sky dragon bones with one punch. I have to thank you, city lord of 10,000 Bones City. If it weren't for the materials you gave me, I wouldn't have been able to refine this sky dragon bones. Xian's lips curled slightly. So what if you're a first-level chi refinement realm cultivator? I'll fight you all the same. That day, because they were in the city, Xian could not go all out. Today, there was no one else and the space was very spacious. With 2 9th-level Imperial Chi Refinement Realm skeletal war puppets, Xian was not afraid of the city lord of 10,000 Bones City at all. At such a young age, you can control 9th-level Imperial Chi Refinement Realm skeletal war puppets. Your aptitude is not bad. However, your realm is not enough. You can't use the true strength of this 100-year-old war puppet. The city lord of 10,000 Bones City said. He had a unique vision. At a glance, he could see that this humanoid war puppet was at least 50 years old. Is that so? Then you can try. Xian did not move. Well, then I'll see what ability you have. How dare you attack my city lord of 10,000 Bones City? The city lord of 10,000 Bones City shouted and rushed toward Yi Xian with his bare hands. Capture the leader first. As long as he killed Yi Xian, the two 9th-level Imperial Qi Refinement Realm skeletal war puppets would not be able to move. However, he was too arrogant and underestimated the two skeletal war puppets. Not to mention the Sky Dragon bones. Even the humanoid war puppet was very strong. This forced him to change his plan and focus on the humanoid war puppet first. You want to destroy my skeletal war puppet first? Have you asked for my permission? Yi Xian's arrogance surged, and he attacked crazily with the skeletal war puppet. Not only that, Wei Zhentian in the air was also constantly waving his claws and swinging his tail. The city lord of 10,000 Bones City kept retreating. That day in the city of 10,000 Bones City, the city lord of 10,000 Bones City did not want to kill Yi Xian, so he did not reveal his true strength and fought to a draw with Yi Xian. Today, he had used all his strength, but he could not do anything to Yi Xian because of the two 9th-level Imperial Qi Refinement Realm skeletal war puppets. He was very regretful. If he had given Yi Xian so many things in order to pretend to be better, he would have killed Yi Xian today. However, Yi Xian was a little worried. He was not sure that he could kill the city lord of 10,000 Bones City who was in the first level of Qi Refinement Realm. The two sides fought fiercely for hundreds of rounds, but the city lord of 10,000 Bones City also found Yi Xian's weakness, which was his slow-flying speed. Therefore, he directly jumped into the sky and attacked Wei Zhentian first. Demon-slaying fist. The city lord of 10,000 Bones City punched. Wei Zhentian, because of his huge body, could not dodge and was hit directly. Bang! Wei Zhentian's whole body shook violently, and a hole was punched in his green armor. Fortunately, the Sky Dragon bones were very hard, so he was not injured. However, at this time, the Sky Dragon bones were exposed to the air, and Wei Zhentian had not repaired the hole. Demon-slaying fist. Chapter 454. Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation. The second celestial dragon, damn it. Yi Xian cursed in his heart. If he and the white bone battle puppet worked together, the 10,000 Bone City's lord wouldn't be able to do anything to them. But now, the 10,000 Bone City's lord was using Wei Zhentian as an example. At this moment, he was wondering if he should leave with Wei Zhentian. If this continued, the situation would not be good. However, just as Yi Xian's Beast King rampage was about to end, a red figure suddenly appeared in the sky. Yi Xian glanced at it and was surprised. The Blood Crow Sect? When the elites of the Blood Crow Sect flew, they would emit a red light. However, this time, Yi Xian was mistaken. The one flying toward them was not an elite of the Blood Crow Sect, but a sacred beast, a celestial dragon. What? The city lord of 10,000 Bones was a little surprised. Celestial dragons were rare in the ghost tomb. Now there was another one, and it seemed to be a Qi Refinement celestial dragon. This was bad. With such a situation, the city lord of 10,000 Bones did not dare to continue attacking. Instead, he dodged to the side to see what the celestial dragon was going to do. However, the Qi Refinement celestial dragon flew directly toward the city lord of 10,000 Bones and launched an attack. What's going on? Coming to the rescue of injustice? Yi Xian was stunned. A celestial dragon came to his rescue. What was going on? In the next moment he understood. Perhaps the celestial dragon was helping him because of Wei Zhentian. However, he felt that something was not right. Wei Zhentian was only residing in the dragon bones. Could it be that the young celestial dragon I killed was this celestial dragon's child? Yi Xian's eyes widened. Most likely, it was because he had taken out the heavenly dragon bone to battle that this heavenly dragon sensed it and rushed over. Then, it saw the city lord of 10,000 Bones attacking Wei Zhentian, so it was angry. Forget it. No matter what, let's kill this city lord of 10,000 Bones first. Yi Xian threw caution to the wind and activated Beast King Rampage again, charging forward. Although the Sky Dragon had joined the battle, it was still 3 against 1 because the humanoid skeleton puppet could not fly, so it could only watch from the ground. However, Yi Xian's battle prowess had more than doubled. Damn it, damn it! The 10,000 Bones City Lord cursed in his heart. Originally, he already had the advantage. If he was given more time, he would be able to destroy the heavenly dragon bone, and then it would be Yi Xian's turn. It was a pity that a heavenly dragon whose realm was even higher than his suddenly appeared. This sky dragon was far more threatening than the flying Yi Xian, so the city lord of 10,000 bones prioritized dealing with it. Bang! 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 Thunderous sounds continued to spread. This battle was extremely intense. The sky dragon attacked the city lord of 10,000 bones like a madman. At the same time, Yi Xian and Wei Zhentian also attacked with all their might. Under their combined efforts, the city lord of 10,000 bones city lord was finally injured. He was hit in the shoulder by Yi Xian, and a small piece of flesh was cut off. Blood dyed his green robe red. His expression became extremely gloomy. If this continued, he might die here. So he could only run. He immediately turned around and prepared to flee back to the city of 10,000 bones. However, the sky dragon was the overlord of the sacred beasts in the air. This sky dragon was much faster than him, and Yi Xian was on the ground. There was no way he could escape. Damn it, am I going to die here today? The city lord of 10,000 bones city lord was very unwilling. He originally wanted to kill and steal the treasure, but he did not expect this to happen. This was really a tragedy. Even if I die, I will not let you have it easy. The city lord of 10,000 bones city lord gritted his teeth and burned his vital energy. It was not easy for him to break through the shackles of 999 dragons. If he burned his vital energy, he would fall back to level 9 of the Qi-controlling realm. However, there was no other way. However, this sky dragon was not to be trifled with. It began to fight desperately. As for Yi Xian, he could not help but retreat, afraid that he would be caught in the crossfire. The man and the dragon fought fiercely. The city lord of 10,000 bones city lord burned his vital energy. Although his strength increased a little, he still could not kill the sky dragon. Then, his level began to fall, and he finally fell to level 9 of the Qi-controlling realm. However, he also severely injured the sky dragon. This is a good chance. Yi Xian's eyes lit up. He attacked crazily with the sky dragon and Wei Zhentian. He knew that the city lord of 10,000 bones city lord was finished. My life is over. The city lord of 10,000 bones city lord was in despair. He could not kill the sky dragon even after burning his vital energy. Now that his level had fallen, there was nothing he could do. After his level fell, his speed decreased. The sky dragon focused and spat out a scorching dragon breath. Boom! The heat wave instantly surrounded the city lord of 10,000 bones city lord. However, the city lord of 10,000 bones city lord was still a city lord. The city lord of 10,000 bones city was much more powerful than the Baigu group. How could he be killed by the dragon breath? However, just as he was gathering his vital energy to block the dragon breath, a sharp slash came from not far away and hit his chest. Bang! The city lord of 10,000 bones city lord was suddenly hit. He immediately spat out a mouthful of blood. In an instant, his whole body was burning. His screams were like the tolling of a bell. No! The city lord of 10,000 bones city lord let out an unwilling roar. In less than 3 seconds, his body was burned to ashes. He's dead? Yi Xian's eyes widened. The dragon breath was too powerful. The city lord of 10,000 bones city lord, who was at level 1 of the Qi refining realm, did not even leave behind a corpse. At this time, the sky dragon suddenly turned its head and looked at Yi Xian. Oh no! Yi Xian's face darkened. He immediately dodged. The next moment, a scorching pillar of fire came at him. The sky dragon's breath. The sky dragon really wanted to kill everyone. Fortunately, Yi Xian dodged in time. Otherwise he would have been hit. Yi Xian quickly dodged, but the sky dragon's eyes were fixed on Yi Xian. Its head moved with Yi Xian's movements. Unfortunately, the temperature of the sky dragon's breath was too high. The city lord of 10,000 bones city lord's interspatial ring was burned. Otherwise, Yi Xian would have killed the sky dragon in an instant with the interspatial ring. The sky dragon's breath was still going. Yi Xian's speed was not enough. The pillar of fire was getting closer and closer. At this critical moment, a sharp object suddenly stabbed into the sky dragon's eyes. It was Wei Zhentian's claw. Good! Yi Xian shouted. The sky dragon was probably avenging its son. Although it risked its life to kill the city lord of 10,000 bones city lord, it still wanted to kill Yi Xian. Therefore, Yi Xian had to fight back. The sky dragon was so angry that it wanted to kill Yi Xian with its breath. However, it was attacked by Wei Zhentian and lost its sight. It immediately let out a deafening roar. Chapter 455. Annihilated? Dragon-slaying sword of the Eight Desolation, Dragon's Judgment. A slash pierced through the air. Yi Xian's attack power was far superior to that of the Myriad Bones City Lord. After all, the dragon-slaying sword of the Eight Desolation was specifically used to slay dragons. This slash landed directly on the heavenly dragon's huge and slender body, instantly causing great damage. This attack was definitely stronger than the Myriad Bones City Lord's 3 punches. Dragon's Judgment. Dragon's Judgment. Dragon's Judgment. Yi Xian did the same as before. He quickly used up all the true qi in his body and crazily used the Dragon's Judgment, all of which landed on the heavenly dragon's head. After a few rounds, the heavenly dragon, which was already heavily injured, slowed down significantly, and its reaction speed was greatly reduced. The threat to Yi Xian was infinitely close to zero. Roar! The heavenly dragon, like the Myriad Bones City Lord, let out an unwilling roar. In fact, it had been holding on from the beginning, but now it could not hold on any longer. It flapped its wings and directly fell from the sky. Plop! The heavenly dragon's body fell, deeply embedded in the ground, and wailed there. I know you want to avenge your son, but after all, this is a world where the strong preys on the weak. Go! Yi Xian muttered, and used his recovered true qi to use the dragon's judgment again. Xiao! A huge slash sank into the heavenly dragon's forehead, splitting its head open. A first-level qi refining heavenly dragon was also slumbering here. After its death, Wei Zhentian could not help but descend. Yi Xian thought it was emotional, but unexpectedly it was cheering, urging Yi Xian to quickly refine the heavenly dragon's bones. After all, Wei Zhentian was not a human, but a strange beast. It was not even an animal, so how could it have feelings? Well, watch me collect it. Yi Xian sighed in his heart, then rushed down and collected the heavenly dragon's corpse. Ding! The host has broken through to 740 dragon power. The heavenly dragon's flesh and blood and the holy beast's soul directly increased Yi Xian's strength by 60 dragon points. His qi refinement rank was truly extraordinary. Although it was a pity that the city lord of Myriad Bones City lost his interspatial ring, the sky dragon's corpse had greatly increased Yi Xian's strength. Now that the city lord of 10,000 Bones City was dead, what Yi Xian had to do was to plunder his city lord mansion and take away the Imperial Qi Stage 9 at the city gate. Immediately, he headed toward the 1,000 Bones City. Even the 10,000 Bones City Lord couldn't do anything to him before, so even if the entire 10,000 Bones City worked together, they wouldn't be a threat to him. First, he came to the entrance of the city of 10,000 Bones and destroyed the defensive formation around the barbaric bull demon white bone battle puppet, then took it away. Then, he began to loot the city lord's mansion and its properties. The entire city of 10,000 Bones was in an uproar. Who was so bold as to attack the city of 10,000 Bones? However, these experts of the city of 10,000 Bones were all here to give Yi Xian benefits. When Yi Xian left the city of 10,000 Bones half an hour later, his strength had increased to 760 dragon points, a total of 20 dragon points. Then, he found a quiet place to refine the sky dragon bone of the first stage qi refinement realm. Fortunately, the materials he looted were just enough for him to refine the sky dragon bone. He felt that it was a pity because if these materials were used to refine humanoid battle puppets, he could have made at least 3 of them. However, since Wei Zhentian liked it, it was worth it. At this time, Yi Xian was already on the sky dragon bone of the first stage qi refinement realm, flying toward the abyss. His strength was also above the first stage qi refinement realm, and the Blood Crow Divine Sect was just a force on par with the Baigu group. Even if he didn't do it himself, he could easily destroy the Blood Crow Divine Sect. It took him 2 days to fly back to the abyss. Then, he first went to the 100 Venom Sect and killed Steward Chiu in an instant with lightning speed. Steward Chiu was still doing some kind of exercise on a female disciple when his head suddenly fell off, and blood spurted all over the female disciple. The entire 100 Venom Sect was in an uproar. Someone sneaked into the 100 Venom Sect and killed someone. Did they have a death wish? However, there was a more important news that spread outside at this time. A mysterious group of assassins suddenly appeared in the abyss, and they had already slaughtered dozens of cities and sections. If the dead were to be added up, the number was calculated in hundreds of millions. Not only that, many of the dead people in these sects and cities had turned into resentful spirits. The so-called resentful spirits were mutated after death after suffering unbearable torture in their lives. These resentful spirits would actively attack the living things around them. Moreover, they were difficult to injure with swords and could penetrate buildings. Only true qi could destroy them. This mysterious group of assassins came from the land of ghosts in the Ghost Tomb region. This was the land of ghosts, and they captured people's souls to cultivate. They were extremely bloodthirsty. At this time, Xianxia was heading toward the Blood Crow Divine Sect. Soon, he arrived at the Blood Crow Divine Sect. However, the situation here was beyond Xianxia's expectations. The Blood Crow Divine Sect had been reduced to ruins. All of the disciples in the sect were dead, and no one survived. When Xianxia arrived, there were still many wailing sounds coming from the sect. Who is it that is slaughtering the Blood Crow Divine Sect? Xianxia was shocked. The Blood Crow Divine Sect was similar to the Baigu group in the burial grounds. If one wanted to slaughter them, one would need to have at least the combat strength of level 9 Imperial Qi. However, there was no news of any level 9 Imperial Qi powerhouse in this area. Xianxia sat on the back of the sky dragon skeleton and watched in the air. At this time, a figure suddenly swept into the sky. Tisk tisk, there's someone from the burial grounds. A sinister voice fell into Xianxia's ears. Xianxia was shocked. He turned around and saw a young man in white. The young man had a wicked smile on his face. He was dragging a strange black bead in his hand. The way he looked at Xianxia was a bit like looking at a prey. When Xianxia noticed the young man's level, his body trembled. This young man was level 1 Qi Refinement Realm. To be exact, it was 1050 dragons. There was a level 1 Qi Refinement Realm powerhouse here. How was this possible?
Who are you?
Xianxia frowned and asked. The Thousand Wraith Sect, the young man with a sinister smile answered simply. The Thousand Wraith Sect. When Xianxia heard that, he immediately reacted. This was because he saw vengeful spirits in the Blood Crow Divine Sect. This Thousand Wraith Sect should be a force in the Land of Ghosts. In the Land of Ghosts, the Land of Ghosts was the strongest of the 3 territories in the Land of Ghosts. This was because they were only vengeful spirits. Vengeful spirits were not afraid of poison, nor were they afraid of white-bone battlehounds. Therefore, they were the most difficult to deal with. He did not expect to see a powerhouse from the Land of Ghosts today. Aren't you afraid that the Poison King sect would send people here to kill a sect at level 1 Qi Refinement Realm? Xianxia asked.